This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free. Hello, all my lovely speculating family members. I really missed y'all yesterday. I really did. I wanted to go live after I got home, but it was so late. I want to say hey to everybody. Hey, my lovely Jenny Jen, who's been here from the beginning, very first day. Eek and Joy and Trixie and Serena and Bad Girl and Zio. I saw Anders, Sarah Lee. There you are, Anders. I think that's everybody here right now. Where's Abellis? Hopefully Abellis will be here soon. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. There is a new trial going on I actually did not know about. Zio sent it to me in the Discord, and I was like, what? The title of it is Cult Baby Murder Trial. I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. That's interesting, Anders. Sorry, I got sidetracked. So I'm going to pull this up. We're going to go over opening statements first. I'm going to try to do it through the actual trial. I do have the court TV opening statement, but I want us to hear it from the actual courtroom, and then that way we can talk about it ourselves. So we're going to go to the trials. I'll probably speed them up a little bit, and we're going to pick out the important parts until we get caught up. Thank you all again for being here. Hey, Nolly, Steers. Thank you for being here. Sarah Lee, you heard the opening statements? All right. Let's see. Hold on just a minute. My computer is not showing me on the screen.
All right. If you are here for Fox 5 or for Law and Order, or I'm sorry, Law and Crime.
All right, we'll just Law and Order 2.
Children often suffer the consequences of the decisions of adults.
What is going on,
This case is no exception to that. This is Hannah.
So I listened, Sarah Lee says I listened to opening statements of that trial. What's going on, Eek? Let me know. I heard part of it and I was just blown away. I was like, are we serious right now? And so I was like, yeah, we got to talk about this. This is like tinfoil hat city. Oh my goodness. It's insane from what I heard. This is going to be from Court TV. It was live at the time, Georgia versus Chloe Driver. And they titled this video, which was day one of the trial, the Cult Baby Unaliving Trial. And yeah, I apologize. Thank you, Jenny. I was just about to say trigger warning.
And Nicole Driver.
And this program, I'm happy. Can you move the microphone that's on the lectern a little bit closer to you? Yes, I think you can move it. Is it taken down? Very good. Thank you.
This is Hannah Nicole Driver. On December 8th, 2020, she was 13 months old.
Look at that baby. I don't understand how people can see babies and think to do anything other than hug them and kiss them and love on them and play with them. I love playing with babies, like getting down in the floor and playing with blocks with them. I love it. I don't know how anybody out here could hurt a child. Joy hasn't seen anything about it. Okay, well, we're going to catch up today. Hey, Content Angel. Hope you're having a great day, love.
This is not the way that you see her in this trial. Instead, you will see her the way that first responding officers saw her.
Agreed.
The way that the EMT saw her. The way that the ER doctor saw her. And eventually, the way that the medical examiner saw her. You will see this 13-month-old beautiful baby girl who had been brutally murdered by her mother, stabbed repeatedly until every bit of life drained out of her, and she died.
Heavy trigger warning, you guys. Anders says Grizzly talked about it yesterday. Really, did she? I'll have to check her out. That's Grizzly True Crime is who he's referencing.
But I wanted to start with a picture of what Hannah Nicole Driver was like before that happened. You're going to hear that Chloe Driver was her mother, and Chloe Driver was involved in a alternative lifestyle. You're going to hear, as the week goes on, a lot of distracting evidence. You're going to hear a lot of messy evidence about this group, about their belief systems. You're going to hear a lot of things that take the focus off of Hannah Nicole Driver. And I wanted to start with this photo because what your role is in this case and what your decision is in this case is what happened to Hannah.
I just dropped the StreamYard link. I'm going to grab my phone in a minute and pin it in case anybody wants to come up on panel. Zayo said, I enjoyed the state's attorney's attitude. That's why, no nonsense. That's why I wanted to cover it. And then she said, I have been waiting for you to do this. Oh, thank you. Jenny Jen says, huge trigger warning for the opening statements. And Anders says, hi to content. And Sarah Lee, I'm going to leave that comment up for anybody coming in.
And what the laws are governing the death of Hannah. And what your decision is with regard to the murder of Hannah. But you will be confronted this week with a lot of shiny objects, a lot of dramatic, crazy evidence about these people and their viewpoints and their belief systems and their practices. You're going to hear that Chloe Driver was one of 3 wives of a man named Brian Joyce. All of them had alternative religious names that they assigned to each other. Brian Joyce also went by the name Benjamin Ben Michael. Some people call him C. Chloe Driver went by the name Kuwani. Hannah, the baby, they called Nimsi. The other 2 wives, Jessica and Sarah, they had other religious names as well. But the evidence will be that that group, that core group of 3 wives and the husband, Benjamin, that...
Let me know if that's too fast for you guys, just by the way. I just want to make sure it's not too fast. Sarah Lee says, I can't figure out where the defense is going, that they're going to be thrown out or confusing evidence. Like, what is there to confuse? The baby is no longer here. Nothing confusing about that. I don't know how to feel about this prosecutor. Really? Yeah. And content is shocked that she didn't take a plea. I don't know much. I just heard a little bit. They want to use the insanity defense. Okay. This is a little fast, so I'll slow it down real quick. So we can hear it. She talks fast like me.
Of the 3 wives in 2020, Chloe had been with Benjamin the longest. Of the 3 wives, she was the longest surviving wife of that group. And then after her came Jessica, who had been in the group for about 2 years. Chloe had been with him for about 3 years. And then Sarah came last. She had been with him for less than a year. But they all lived together as a family. Chloe had a baby, Hannah, with Benjamin. And so it was Benjamin, the 3 wives, and the baby. You'll also hear the evidence that there was another individual that spent a lot of time with them, traveled with them, participated in a lot of their same belief systems. His name's Jason Spillers. You'll see him in this case and hear evidence from him as well. So the belief system, what you will hear is that they had very sort of radical views. They were strict vegans. They only drank purified water. They did not believe in any type of drugs or alcohol, no modern medicine. Hannah never had a birth certificate or went to the doctor. You will hear that they participated in alternative healing practices like drinking their own urine, sensory deprivation, meditation, that they did not believe in modern medicine.
So this is already getting off to a bad start. We just read what Sarah Lee said. Anders said sometimes it's hard to understand the defense's strategies. Bad Girls said 3 wives. What kind of religion is that? That would be like polygamy. I know some of the FLDS, which is or FLDS, which is Fellowship of Latter-day Saints. They practice polygamy. So yeah, that's where you have more than 1 wife. You can see them, like some of them, the FLDS will have the dresses on and they have lots of wives and lots of mothers and sister wives and things like that.
You will hear that they collectively as a group engaged in this sort of thought process that they had a higher consciousness than the rest of the world, that they were called upon to challenge the realities of sort of the traditional worldview.
Yeah,
and that was something that they all leaned into and felt pride in. And it was collective as the group. They were all like-minded in that way. Now, you're also going to hear that they were pretty nomadic.
Sarah Lee coming in with the correction for me. Thank you for that. Sarah Lee says some off branches or offsets of Latter-day Saints, or just pretty much any religion that practices polygamy. It would be the Mormons mostly, what I can think of. I'm sure there's more. And Serena told me it was the fundamental Latter-day Saints. I apologize. I thought it was the fellowship. Thank you for telling me that. Sarah Lee says there is a Middle Eastern religion that practices polygamy as well. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Nomadic, that they didn't have strong roots anywhere, that they traveled around a lot, that they bounced from place to place, spent time in different locations. None of them are from Cherokee County. It was a sheer coincidence that this act happened in our jurisdiction, and I'll get into that. On December the 8th of 2020, they were traveling from North Carolina down to Florida. Benjamin, the husband, had previously lived in a residence at 215 Mountain Vista Boulevard in Canton, Georgia, with a man by the name of Gerald Ablin. Gerald Ablin still lived in that residence on December the 8th of 2020. And so in their travels, Benjamin, Jason Spillers, and 3 wives, Sarah, Jessica, Chloe, and the baby, Hannah, were all caravanning from North Carolina down to Florida in 4 different vehicles, a U-Haul and 3 cars. And they were planning to move down to Florida. And they stopped at Jerry Ablin's house in Canton, Georgia, 3 miles from this courthouse, because Benjamin had stuff in Jerry's basement. And so the plan was for Jason and Benjamin to load up the stuff that was in Jerry's basement into the U-Haul and to get back on the road and head to Florida.
Sarah, you're funny. My husband actually says that. When it comes to, like, talking about cheating or whatever, he's like, I don't want no more of you around here. I can't deal with you as it is. I don't want another one. Sarah said, why would anyone want more than one spouse? Why does anyone want a spouse to begin with? Somebody can take mine, please, please, please. She says, I have 99 problems and multiple spouses is not one. I'm with you.
What happened was,
also,
when they got there, 2 of the wives, Sarah and Jessica, went to one of the upstairs bedrooms to take a nap. And Hannah and Chloe went to another upstairs bedroom to take a nap. Gerald Ablin, the homeowner, worked from home. He's a software engineer. So he was on a Zoom call working, and the women and the baby went to the room so they didn't disturb him. And Jason Spillers and Benjamin went to work moving the things out of the basement into the U-Haul.
You're absolutely correct, bad girl. Says a lot of people are born into those polygamy homes and they don't know any better. Those beliefs are there in and outside the home. It's crazy. Yeah. It's sad too. Like, they don't believe that people landed on the moon. They don't teach them that about outer space or anything like that. It's crazy. From what I understand, I could be wrong. If I am, feel free to correct me, but that's what I remember hearing about when I researched some of it, when I was researching Warren Jeffs.
It was supposed to be a seemingly short stopover, and then they would all get back on the road. And when they were done and it was time to leave,
Why are they so close?
something happened. This is the residence. You'll hear that when Jason and Benjamin were distracted, moving things out of the basement, Chloe Driver at some point went down to the kitchen, got a knife out of the knife block, returned to the room with Hannah, locked the door behind her, and repeatedly stabbed Hannah to death.
My God.
She then took the knife and stabbed herself in the neck.
Oh my God.
This is where Hannah Driver bled to death.
Oh my God.
You'll hear that Jason and Benjamin were out in the driveway. They were getting ready to go. Sarah and Jessica had come down. They were in the driveway getting ready to go. And Benjamin went upstairs to get Chloe and the baby. And the door was locked. And he heard noises. And he panicked. And he
I don't think so. I think it's another person's baby. I could be wrong about that. It said it at some point, but I'm not sure. Because I was probably talking when they said it or something, or didn't have my full attention. That is insane, y'all. Oh my God. Warren Jeffs is still in power, and he does give sermons from prison. He sure does. Content Angel just found an article that reads Chloe and her sister wives had Hebrew names, but I'll tell you right now, Judaism is not okay with polygamy, right? Yeah, that's insane.
He kicked the door down. And he found the scene of his 13-month-old daughter bleeding to death on the bed, and Chloe on the ground with a knife wound to her neck as well. You'll see evidence of him kicking in the door. And you'll hear the witnesses who said they heard the most blood-curdling scream from him. What did you do? What did you do? You will see the body cam footage of the first responders on the scene who rushed in to try to save the baby and Chloe Driver. And what you will see is Benjamin with his hands on Hannah's neck trying to keep her from bleeding to death, and Jason Spillers, the other man that's a part of this group, with his hands on Chloe's neck trying to save her life. You will see these men were in shock. They were desperately trying to help. And you will see the response of first responders, EMTs, and everybody who did everything they could for Hannah and Chloe. You will hear
Jenny Jen coming in with the facts, says Hannah is Chloe's, so it was her biological daughter.
that Hannah died, that she had 4 stab wounds. One of them was a 1.5-inch deep stab wound to her back. The other wounds were 3 stab wounds to the neck, one of which was so deep that it went all the way through her tiny neck, transected her carotid artery, and hit her vertebrae. You are going to hear a lot of evidence about Benjamin, and I don't particularly expect you to like him. I expect you are going to hear that they're not from Cherokee County. But what I want you to remember in this trial is that their belief system and practices are not on trial. We only have jurisdiction over crimes that happened in Cherokee County. And what the evidence...
I'm already in shock, and I haven't even, got into this case. My God.
will be is that the only crime that happened in Cherokee County was a crime that was committed by Chloe Driver. The evidence will show that the only act committed by Benjamin in Cherokee County was the desperate act to save his baby daughter. And you will see it. Now, the state has the burden of proving that she murdered Hannah and that she intended Hannah's death. And that will be very, very clear from the evidence. The defense is raising the issue of insanity and going to ask you to find her not guilty by reason of insanity. And that is their burden to prove. There is a legal definition of what insanity is, and opening statements are not necessarily the appropriate time for us to get into what the law is and how you apply the law. That will be something that comes at the end of this trial. But what opening statements are for is to give you a roadmap.
Hey, Brian, thank you for being here.
Brian
says, you mean the Geico caveman. Hey, Toxic Orchid. I don't know if that's orchid or orchid, but thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Focus on the important issues and to help you know what to look for when the evidence is coming before you. And so in that regard, the things that I can appropriately tell you is you're going to hear a lot of things in this case about throwing witnesses and evidence, throwing around terms like crazy, mentally ill, insane. And you, as human beings that know the English language, probably use all of those terms kind of interchangeably. But the truth is the law has definitions for things, and they are not the same. So what I would like for you to pay attention to in the presentation of evidence in this case is the evidence that she understood the wrongfulness of her actions, that she understood the difference between wrong and right. And there will be plenty of evidence presented to you that she did. One of those pieces of evidence is when she was sitting in the hospital bed, one of the first things that she wrote to law enforcement, because she could not speak because she had a trach, was, "How long will my prison sentence be for killing her?"
Wow. Wow. I think it's going to be hard to prove insanity too if she had the forethought to ask them how long her prison sentence would be too. I don't think like immediately after if you're writing like that and asking questions like that, you could go with insanity plea. I wouldn't think. Thank you, Toxic Orchid, for telling me.
This is the evidence that will come before you that demonstrates that she understood the wrongfulness of her actions. Pay attention. She locked the door. She waited until she was isolated. Those are pieces of evidence that will come before you that are important. The next thing I would like you to pay attention to in the presentation of evidence is why she killed Hannah. There will be evidence about why she killed Hannah. Pay very, very close attention to what motivated her actions. He didn't do it, I did it. I was going insane and no longer wanted to be with his friends, but kept coming back for him. I only wanted my baby and husband, but he refused. The evidence will be she wanted him. She wanted to be with him. She was the first of this group of 3 wives, and the 2 others came after her. The evidence will be clear that she wanted to be with him, and he was never going to give up this polygamist cult lifestyle that they had adopted. This was one of the first writings that she made about why she killed Hannah. Pay attention.
Like, yeah, Toxic Orchid says, the fact this is also cultish, I am also willing to bet he held that baby over her head. Right, like they're saying, like Eek says, jealousy, but she was jealous of the baby for some reason. I don't know. I mean, that's what it tells me, because if she was jealous of the other people in the relationship, why didn't she do that to them? Like, why go after the baby? Unless you're jealous of the baby. Allegedly speculating.
Into the why. Her cell phone was searched, and you'll see evidence of that.
Jordan Orb is a podcaster and YouTuber with over 1
Super excited for you, dude. Good job.
She searched killing somebody to save them. Also, a couple of weeks before she killed Hannah, she searched how to snap a neck. The evidence is going to be she was evaluated in the hospital by a psychiatrist shortly after she killed Hannah, and he indicated the patient felt the only way out was to kill her daughter and herself. I couldn't handle being with the group anymore, and he left no alternative with certain threats. This was her note that she wrote to Benjamin. She wanted him and the baby, and she wanted everybody else to go. And that wasn't an option, so she picked a different one. There is going to be evidence in this case that she believed some things that were pretty crazy. And there's that word again, crazy. And it doesn't have a legal definition. You're going to be focused more on mental illness and insanity and making your determination.
Did Gypsy have the baby yet? Content Angel says, you need 1 million subscribers. I do, don't I? Please make sure you guys hit the like button. And thank you for that. Trixie says, this is disgusting. I cannot with these parents red rumming their children. I can't either. There's so many options out there. I can't. It is disgusting. And thank you for being here.
But just in the English language context, there's going to be evidence that comes
You're good,
before
Sarah.
you that sounds insane. There is going to be evidence that she believed things that the rest of the group believed too. That the world is fake, that we're living in hell, that they have the ability to, with their minds, control the actions of other people around them. These things were not unique to Chloe Driver. The entire group believed that this higher level of consciousness was something that they were called upon to do, to serve the world. And so what I ask you to do when you are assessing these things is, there may be a question about whether these are delusions or whether these are just genuinely held religious views that maybe are untraditional that the rest of the world doesn't agree with. And that's something that you're going to have to parse out. But here's the thing that is very...
Toxic Orchid said, I also think that possibly felt threatened by the other wives taking her place as the top wife, perhaps. Yeah, I agree. And Anders said they need to have been totally disconnected from reality at the time of the crime to be able to successfully claim insanity. And you are exactly right about that.
Very
not sure,
clear
Gaia,
and
probably.
very important to your determination in this case. None of these bizarre views had anything to do with Hannah. That is of critical importance. I started with a picture of Hannah, and I'm going back to it, because when we talk about the issue of insanity that will be raised in this case, you have to focus on how her belief system, her mind, her thoughts, how those things related to Hannah, her feelings about Hannah, the reason she committed the act against Hannah.
I want to say real quick, I apologize for continuing to pause. I promise I'm going to stop pausing so much, but I do want to say real quick that, even though we're watching this and it's got cult relations and there's tinfoil hats on my thumbnail and stuff, I do want us to remember Hannah, and that she deserves justice in all of this. And please keep that baby in your thoughts, minds, and prayers.
You cannot just say she has crazy beliefs without considering Hannah. So in this case, what you will hear and what the evidence will show is not a single witness, not a single doctor that evaluated her, not a single statement Chloe Driver has ever made was that Hannah believed, or she believed Hannah was any kind of a threat to her.
Good question.
There will be no evidence of that. You will not hear that she was ever afraid of Hannah. You will not hear that she ever felt like she needed to defend herself against Hannah. And how she felt about Hannah in her mind and in her actions and informing her intent is something that you need to pay attention to in this case. It will help you solve the legal equation. Whether she had delusions or not is a teeny tiny part of the legal equation you will solve. The evidence that will come before you is none of that stuff related to the reasons why she committed this act against Hannah or her beliefs about Hannah, the baby, the victim in this case. You are going to have to evaluate the evidence that comes before you about whether any of her belief systems were manifestations of mental illness and how that related to the act that she committed. And what the evidence is going to be is that any manifestations of mental illness were completely separate from the motivations for why she killed Hannah. The evidence is going to be that her motivation for why she killed Hannah wasn't her delusions, it was her reality.
But in order to be in a polygamist cult and to believe some of the off-the-wall things that I'm sure they believed and some of the things that I'm sure we will hear about in trial, you have to question her insanity throughout the whole past couple of years of her life. If you're in there, I mean, even if you're in just like a manipulative relationship, and I don't mean it to say like just in a manipulative relationship, but there's a lot of manipulative relationships out there. They can play with your mind. I call it mind effed, is what I say. And, she's not only dealing with one, but it sounds like two or more. And then the polygamy, things like that, and their religious beliefs and all of the things. I would question her insanity for the past couple of years or from the time that she got involved in this whole thing. What relation that has to what she did, I don't know, because I haven't heard it all yet. But I don't think anybody in their right mind would find themselves involved in some things like that. Or if they did, they would try to get out.
The evidence is going to
Hey,
be
Rich buddy.
that she couldn't decide if she wanted to stay or go, so she picked a third option. And the evidence is going to show that that wasn't delusional at all. That was very reasonable thinking,
Right.
based upon the situation she willfully put herself in. I suspect in this case, there's going to be a lot of effort to paint Chloe Driver as the victim
Right,
instead of the baby girl.
Oh,
You were
wow,
going
Sarah.
to hear that she was held against her will. She didn't feel like she was free to leave. But the evidence is going to demonstrate that that is not true.
Hey, Need Some Z's. Need Some Z's says, sounds to me like she went along with her husband's wants for a polygamous relationship. Yeah, that's usually how that goes. There's one show on TLC where it's like Finding Sister Wife or something. And there's this guy on there that's trying to talk to this girl that's like in Colombia or Brazil. And he is like horrible to his current wife. It's ridiculous. Y'all have to see it. I had to pull it up and show y'all clips from it. This guy is like a straight douche. And yeah, but back to your comment. Yeah, that's usually how that goes. I don't know of any women wanting a polygamous relationship unless they were brought up in that lifestyle.
The evidence is going to demonstrate that as she sat there
Hey,
and
Elaine.
stabbed Hannah to death, she had a diaper bag.
Hey, Elaine, I'm sorry I keep pausing. Elaine McKenzie, thank you for being here, says, hey, guys, does anyone else feel sorry for her? I hate what she did. I just feel she was groomed by a much older man. I haven't got that far into the case, but I could definitely see that. And yeah, you have to take that into account for sure. And I appreciate you being here and sharing your thoughts and opinions on that. I do. I love to hear that.
Bag with her personal effects in it, and inside that diaper bag was a cell phone, $1,000 cash, blank checks in the name of Chloe Alexis Driver that connected to a bank account in the name of Chloe Alexis Driver that had $65,000 in it. She had the means to leave. The evidence is going to be she didn't want to. She wanted him. She had supportive parents who she had seen the day before she murdered Hannah. And instead, she chose to go with the group. That is what the evidence is going to be. The evidence will not be that she was held against her will. The evidence will be that she exercised her free will in wanting to be with Benjamin.
Hey, Shaboogies. Thank you for being here. Sarah Lee said, remember the mom from Missouri like a few months ago unallowed her kids and then went to the sheriff's office and reported herself. No, I didn't know that. I don't know why you would do that. Why not just give them to somebody or something? Jenny said, if I'm not mistaken, she was 17 and he was in his late 30s. Oh, wow. Wow. Hey, Shaboogies. Need Some Z's said, from what I've heard, I personally don't feel sorry for Chloe, but maybe I'll learn something that else or that does. Yeah. Hey, Pinto. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I'm interested to see what else they say.
The evidence will be that at every opportunity, she took the opportunity to maintain her relationship with him, even after she murdered Hannah. The evidence will be that she wanted to have her cake and eat it too. Even after she was arrested and charged with murder, the evidence that will come before you is that she was simultaneously talking to doctors, speaking to lawyers, evaluating her options for a defense in this case, telling them that she was an oppressed victim of this religious cult to shirk responsibility for her criminal actions and placing the blame on Benjamin, saying all those things to the doctors and professionals that were evaluating her, while simultaneously continuing to maintain conversations with him, continuing to maintain a relationship with him, making hundreds of phone calls to him and telling him how much she loved him. Phone calls that she placed out. He could not call her. The evidence will not be that she could not exercise free will. The evidence will be that she wanted to be with him.
Shaboogies, I'm going to try to get it. I'm going to scroll back and try to get it to pop up on this little screen that's moving right now so you can see the baby. It was her 13-month-old daughter. Hold on, I'm trying to get it without actually clicking on it. I don't know if it's going to show it or not. It'll probably show it again. I know it will. But yeah, her 13-month-old baby girl. Oh, there she was. Almost had it. Right there. Do you see her on the little screen? That's a picture of her 13-month-old daughter, Hannah. She went in the room and stabbed her multiple times, and then she stabbed herself once in the neck. The father walked in, and they said it was a blood-curdling scream. He screamed, "What have you done?" And he's trying to save the baby, and then another man in this polygamous relationship has got his hands on Chloe's neck trying to save her.
What you are going to hear is probably that this cult lifestyle wasn't great for her mental health. But that is not the issue before you in this case. The evidence is going to be that Chloe Driver was swimming in the pond she jumped in. And she did it willfully. It was the air that she breathed. And she chose that even after she took the life of Hannah Nicole Driver.
Hey, Corey.
You will not
Hey, Corey. I'm sorry I missed you coming in. Thank you for being here, love.
hear that she was deprived of free will. You will see that she exercised her free will. And the person that suffered the consequences of her choices was Hannah.
Right, Corey?
The evidence will be clear that Chloe murdered Hannah. She did it willfully, she did it intentionally, and she wanted her to die. The evidence will also demonstrate, maybe, that Chloe was a weak-minded person who was particularly susceptible to the cult lifestyle. But that is not the issue before you. The evidence will not demonstrate that she meets the definition of criminal insanity to the extent that she cannot be held responsible for her actions.
So much important information you guys are dropping. Thank you. Sarah said, I'm sure there's mental illness associated, but being able to plead insanity, not sure if she seemed to know what she was doing, was wrong. Insanity is tricky to prove. And yeah, you're absolutely right. There might be some form of insanity she could plead. I don't think it would be postpartum depression. But it's a possibility, especially considering they didn't even go to the hospital or seek any kind of medical help at all. I think that's going to play in her hand as far as the insanity plea goes. Zio Sandra Firelight has a YouTube channel, and I'm going to click it. I'm going to grab it and drop it in the comment section. She says, I went over the arrest affidavit and the mentions in this case on my live. I was saddened. So if you guys want to see the arrest affidavits, I'm going to refer you over to her YouTube page, and I'll drop the link in just a second.
And once all of the evidence has come before you and all of the witnesses have been questioned, I'm going to ask you to hold her responsible for the consequences that this child suffered from her choices and her decisions. And I'm going to ask you to find her guilty.
All right, Ms. Trethaway.
That link that I just dropped is for Zio's page. If you want to see the arrest affidavit and her talking about it, please go check her out. I will also leave it in the description box below for anybody that's catching us on the replay. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Zio.
Good morning. I want to make one thing abundantly clear from the outset of this case, and that no one in this courtroom is going to stand here and dispute that the murder of a child is a horrific event. This is a tragic and heartbreaking case. There's simply no other way to explain it. There's no rational way to explain that. There is no dispute as to the facts regarding the events that occurred on December 8th of 2020 at 215 Mountain Vista Boulevard here in Canton. Ms. Driver does not dispute that she killed her 13-month-old baby daughter, Hannah Nicole Driver. There is also no dispute that at the same time, Ms. Driver stabbed herself repeatedly in the neck, not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times, and then took the knife to her chest.
Yep, toxic.
There is no doubt that the evidence in this case and the testimony you're going to hear by the state defendant will not only be difficult to see and hear.
Absolutely, Sarah.
But as we go through this trial, the only issue in this case that you need to decide is Ms. Driver's mental status and mental state at the time of the crime. Solely focus as we sit here and present all of this evidence about what happened that day, and the state does that, on her mental health. We are not standing here saying that Hannah Nicole Driver is not a victim. That is not the position taken by anybody in this case. Our job is to simply show you how we got here today, and that the law allows you to consider her mental state at the time of the crime. I'm going to give you a little bit more background information about the people involved in this case so you have some sort of context. Today, our client, Chloe, she's 24 years old. She grew up in Florida and in the Knoxville, Tennessee area. Her parents are Eric and Renee Driver. She is one of 3 children, the youngest and only daughter. Ms. Driver did have her ups and downs and bouts with teenage angst, and she, like most teenagers, thought she was ready for the world and knew best at the age of 16. She left home, she left school, she had her first fateful meeting with Benjamin Ben Michael when she was 16 years old at a bus station in Atlanta. Several months after the breaking up with her boyfriend, she had just turned 17, she met up with Benjamin again. He was 38 years old. See, I'll tell you a little bit about Mr. Benjamin Ben Michael. He's not this great character that the state intends to put up here. Not at all. He spends his free time setting up Christian trusts in the name of religion and his wacky beliefs. You will hear that some of these trusts include contracts that he made with his so-called wives. I'm not even going to attempt to try to explain what these trusts are, because quite frankly, we really don't understand what their thought process is involved in that. And I'm sure Mr. Stillers would love to tell you all about it.
See, I heard this part yesterday. This was the part that I heard. Where was it? Somebody just said something and I lost it. Yeah, right? Elaine says, sorry, but a 38-year-old man picking up a 16-year-old girl is a no-ness. In my opinion, I would say no, or sick, or chomo move. Yeah, all of those things. Facts. Yep. Facts.
You will hear that he had 3 wives at this time. He had Jessica, he had Chloe, he had Sarah. He actually knew Jessica prior to ever meeting Chloe. But Chloe was his first wife, and Jessica came back into the picture at a later time because she had money. She had some money stashed away, and Mr. Ben Michael knew that. Sarah Stiles did come along longer. She wasn't involved in this group until after Chloe had her baby. See, he creates contracts with each one of these women and calls them his wives in trust. You will also hear evidence that Benjamin had not only Chloe, but these other wives filed during.
Okay. Zayo said, yeah, this is crap. The defense doesn't have a leg, and the defense is reaching far and wide to find justification. Content Angel says, just in logical terms, if you're a victim of a crime, you're still not allowed to unalive your baby. And Elaine told me what that meant. I don't know how to say it. I would say no-ness, but it means not a normal criminal element or / child abuser. Thank you for that.
During COVID, for the fraudulent EIDL loan money, to the Small Business Administration. He had each one of them apply for these under his Alorian Christian Trust or other pseudo trust that he called 501c3, a 508c something, under the organization of spirituality and teaching. You will hear that they were able to get $150,000 fraudulently. That's the money sitting in the Wells Fargo account. They traveled all around the eastern United States. Sometimes they were together, sometimes they were not, depending on where he wanted each of these women. They definitely lived what we would consider an alternative lifestyle. This lifestyle didn't involve the things that you and I would normally think would be a partnership or a relationship, or the type of rules that we would necessarily agree with. There were rules of what to eat, what to wear, who they could talk to, when she would have access to her cell phone, when she'd be able to speak to her parents. Same rules applied to all three women. It was a constant indoctrination of an alternative ideology belief system to an already vulnerable young lady, a 17, 18, and 19-year-old woman with a 38, 39, and 40-year-old man. He did assign his wives each alternative name. She'll hear in these calls and interviews, they'll refer to her as Kulani. Chloe, initially, was all in this relationship. She really didn't know any better. She was shocked and awed by his personality. She was young, and she was vulnerable. She became alienated from her friends and her family, and she did. She followed his teachings and belief system. He also manipulated her mind to the extent about her own belief system, about her own parents. Repeatedly telling her he couldn't trust, that she could not trust her parents and that they may have done horrible things to her as a child. She couldn't and did not realize that this was essentially a cult environment. Around April of 2020, Benjamin met Jason Spillers, and they immediately became friends. He became fascinated with his trust system, the idea of having multiple women involved, quickly realized that they shared similar beliefs. To this day, they remain very close to each other. Mr. Spillers traveled around as well from place to place and was in a group on several different occasions with them, leading up to December 8th. When he was not with Benjamin or this group, he remained in constant contact via phone, text, or other means. Mr. Spillers saw Chloe in May of 2020. We'll describe her as a loving, caring mom. No issues, no signs of mental illness. In September of 2020, he noted that her mental...
That's funny, Sarah. Elaine says, for people who hate the government so much, yeah, no doubt. Jenny says, Kuani is Chloe. That's why I paused it, because I wanted to put that out there. Kuani is Chloe. Thank you for that.
Mental state had deteriorated and became concerned. We even spoke to Brian about it. There were discussions about her needing treatment and medication. But see, Mr. Ben Michael doesn't agree with pharmaceuticals. He doesn't believe with white coat intervention, as he calls it. He was not going to let her put any medication in her body because she was breastfeeding, and she needed to be pure. He also believed that he could self-diagnose and self-treat Chloe on his own. Now, there were several red flags and calls for help leading up to this event. And the state didn't tell you about it, but I'm going to. Several people who claim to love Chloe and care about her are the same people who refused to get her the help she desperately needed and asked for. Benjamin, his other wives, Jason Spillers, Chloe's own parents. They either all chose not to help her and ignored her cries for help, or they just could not break through to her in those fateful months and get her that help she so desperately needed that she asked for. The responses to her erratic behavior, her expressions of the thoughts that were in her mind to these people were ignored. Rather, in September of 2020, instead of getting her actual mental help, Benjamin convinced her to start taking CBD to help regulate herself and calm her down. You will hear testimony that they continued to feed her this CBD from Mr. Spillers that not only
Yep, Elaine.
increased the erratic behavior, but led to an increase in her delusions and the continued degradation of her condition. There were two significant incidents that I want you to think about through this trial that show a continued decline of her mental health leading up to this and the lack of help for her deteriorating mental state. On November 25th, 2020, this group was in Asheville, North Carolina. Chloe Driver ran out of an apartment through an apartment complex parking lot into oncoming traffic to escape this group. She was having a major mental health crisis and episode. During that time, she was begging strangers to help her get away from him and get help. She was young and she was crazy. I expect you to hear from a lady named Sandra Torres. She is a completely independent witness. Doesn't know Benjamin, doesn't know Jason, doesn't know Chloe, who saw this young lady on that day in the middle of the road, crying and asking for help, being chased by Jason Spillers. She sees him pick her up and drag her back into that apartment. She calls 911. And what is the result of her help? She was hit by a car that Benjamin was driving and punched in the eye by Jason Spillers. He broke her eye socket. She will tell you that Chloe was bad.
Okay. Hey, Zio, and thank you for being here. Do you have something you wanted to add to this right now?
I could think of a million, but while this attorney here is begging us to see, and trigger warning, attorney is begging us to see how bad this little girl had it, and how her opening statement is how her Benjamin, I guess she's calling him, and Jason did all of these things to her, and the other wives did things to her, and she was young, and her parents didn't. May I remind everybody that she brutally put an instrument to the child in multiple areas and multiple times, causing her airway to be incapacitated, causing her to lose her life. And I'm saying that in the easiest way possible, because in true crime, it's not nice, it's not good, and it's not happy, but we always forget when people are doing opening statements, especially because they like to defend the person who did this, that the victim is no longer. So as much and as sad as it is that she had mental problems or she had issues going on or CBD and things like that going on, he took the life of her very own child, another human being, with no forethought. There's just no idea how in the world that all of these people can stand up and feel. There's no way in the world you can feel sorry for this lady. I'm sorry. And insanity just doesn't. She admitted to 4 different probable cause, all counts. She's admitted to all counts. Malice, unaliving, stabbing her, admitted to all of these things, all 4 felonies. So I'm sorry. Aggravated battery of a 13-month-old, malicious bodily harm.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that and putting that out here. I'm
that I feel it upsets me. So.
No, you're good. You're breaking up a little bit, but I know that you're not at home. And I do want us to remember that at the end of the day, this is about the baby and the horrible things that she did to the baby. I do have to look at it from all perspectives and see that if she's running out into traffic and if her eye socket is broken, that is abuse as well. Now, like you said, does that justify her doing what she did to the baby? Absolutely not. But we also have to remember that she's in a situation that she's being abused as well. Again, the baby is always what's most important, and the fact that she took the life of a baby is completely uncalled for and horrific. And I think she should have sought help. If you go to, she called 911 and they came after she had a broken eye socket and all of that. Why not leave the situation at that time? I can see all of those things.
No, she's not claiming postpartum. The original affidavit showed that she was trying to claim battered spouse syndrome in self-defense. First of all, it's a 13, and her husband and the other, the second man, Spillers, is not who's on trial. It's she's on trial for unaliving her child.
Yeah.
And if it was, and then the CBD, Sarah Lee, I would challenge you to get on to the web, anywhere on the web, and look for CBD of effects it has if you are dosing incorrectly, and let me know what you come up with, because
okay.
I find that to be a little bit of a falsehood.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't found that it had a lot of effects for me, but maybe I was dosing it wrong.
No, it
You're breaking up real bad. I think you cut out.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good now.
Okay, I said, you said you did find that it affects, or it did not?
It did not help me a lot.
So it
But-
didn't, but it didn't have an adverse effect, is what you're saying?
Oh no. Okay, so I misunderstood. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I like you said, at the end of the day, she did what she did to her child, which is horrible and unforgivable. And I agree 100%. I do just want to remember, though, that she did run out into traffic and that her freaking eye socket was broken. But again, I'm going to also point out that she went to the hospital when her eye socket was broken. Why not leave the situation then? There's always another option than to result to what she did. I just need to be fair by saying that she was in such a mental state that she did run out into traffic and her eye socket was broken. But the baby
Angel, I don't think it makes you violent. I don't agree that it makes you violent. No, I will say that there are adverse effects. Already have bipolar disorder, or people who have been affected with who have other things going on. CBD isn't the answer for everybody. It's for a lot of people, but not for everybody. No, I don't think it makes you violent, but it does. I guess you would call it it's like a stack effect if you think about it. Any medication, exactly, Corey. Anything that you have can make you. Anything that you take can stack onto something else you already have, and have different effects for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, weed and CBD are different, are they not?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right, cool.
Begging for help, begging to call the police, begging them to call her parents to help. These men put Chloe in a car, put Hannah in a car, and drove away before the police could ever respond. There are police reports about this. You will hear that the next day, Thanksgiving of 2020, November 26th, that Chloe had access to her cell phone. She contacted her parents.
Oh, yeah, Zaya.
Contacted her parents to please come and get her in Asheville, North Carolina with Hannah and help her get away. That Brian was hurting her. She was afraid. She needed help. Her parents immediately got in the car and started to make that 2-hour drive to Asheville. Benjamin went through her phone, found out that they were coming, and the result was he took the child before her parents or the police could get there. Took the child away from Chloe and kept her away from her child for over 2.5 days. Police reported about that too. When her parents picked her up that day, Miss Driver had a black eye, the remnants of a healing black eye. It's documented in the police report as well. Chloe went with her parents. She was distraught. She was upset. She was afraid that she was never going to see her daughter again. He kept her away from the baby. Expect you to see the Facebook messages and text messages exchanged between the two that indicate the manipulation of the games he played with Chloe that day and over the course of those 2 days to get her child back. She was even more distraught because she was still breastfeeding her daughter. That was the first time that her parents had ever learned about what was going on with Chloe, both with her mental status and the relationship. Her parents were desperate to intervene. They helped her try to figure out how to get her own bank account, how to obtain Hannah's birth certificate, because they left the hospital shortly after she was born, because Mr. Ben Michael didn't want her in the system and was afraid that DFACS was going to be called. They left without a birth certificate. She feared that they would never see her daughter again. I expect you'll see a video that was taken on November 27th of 2020 with Miss Driver. That video was taken prior to Miss Driver getting in an Uber that Mr. Ben Michael sent for her to bring her back to her child. She didn't know where she was going. She didn't know what was going to happen to her. She didn't actually know she was being brought to her daughter. You will see the choice and the agony in Miss Driver's voice, that she had to go back to get her daughter. She feared never seeing her again.
Y'all, I'm here. I had to come in the kitchen real quick. But I'm listening and taking all this in. It's a lot. And it sounds like her family wanted to help her and she attempted to leave. So again, she's offered a way out, but evidently didn't stay gone or went back for whatever reason. And then this happened, which again, why not just stay away? It's hard when you're a victim, especially when you love somebody and they're the father of your child. It's hard to leave. I've been in situations where I went back for those reasons, but it never ends good. And I'm going to drop the link for the domestic violence hotline in the description box below. If anybody's dealing with anything like that, please give them a call or a text.
You will hear evidence, and the state's already touched on it.
Content. I'm not making dinner. I'm just making a grilled cheese real quick in the little sandwich maker thing I have.
About evidence about searches. Miss Driver did search for other things other than how to snap a neck. She did searches that were trying to, how to find a bus ticket for a 13-month-old. How do I travel with a child I don't have a birth certificate to? There are also indications that she was understanding that she was experiencing some crazy things in her mind. She searched for schizophrenia. She searched for other ways to get mental help. Things that she was being denied. And things spiraled from there. On December 7th, 2020, the group took Chloe back to her parents' house to get the last of her belongings. They begged her to stay there with Hannah. They couldn't convince her to stay, and her parents thought about calling the police. But they also realized that that might mean that they may never see their daughter or granddaughter again. And they are still living with that guilt today. The group then left and spent the night in a hotel room. The morning of the 8th, they attended a ceremony called the 12 Tribes. They then traveled towards Canton, Georgia. I expect that Mr. Stillers will tell you about a weird incident where Chloe appeared to be hallucinating or having something going on while they were at Whole Foods on the way down here. They did stop at Mr. Adlin's house to pick up some belongings that belonged to Benjamin. Chloe was in Canton for less than 3 hours that day. Throughout this case, you will hear evidence that everyone around her said, well, Chloe wholeheartedly and loved and cared for her child. You will hear evidence that she was a loving and doting mother, that she tended to all of Hannah's needs, that baby barely ever cried because of the love and attention that Chloe's. So you will hear that Chloe considered her an extension of herself, a huge piece of her, had a connection to her. That everything she did for her daughter was because she was an incredible mother. And I'm going to show you some pictures, put this kind of in context for you guys, so that you can see the physical changes involved in Chloe's life during this time. These pictures do not dispute a change in her physically and show a change in her mentally. This is Chloe when she was 16 years old, before she met Ben Michael. This is Chloe with Hannah on July 12th, 2020. Her pride and joy. August 29th, 2020. Again, showing how prideful she is of her dog. November 2020. November 27th, 2020.
I don't know. This is some pretty moving things towards an insanity plea. I mean, it's making me think it could be more possible. But I mean, again, I want us to remember the child that is no longer here due to what happened.
It's another angle from November 27th. Now, the state has charged Chloe with killing Hannah with malice and cruel intentions, and along with other counts set forth in the indictment. The evidence in this case, contrary to what the state is saying, is clear and overwhelming. The state doesn't want you to consider Chloe a victim of Benjamin or Jason Spiller. We're not even standing here saying that that is the full piece of what happened. We're not blaming Jason. We're not blaming Benjamin. We're not blaming Hannah. But what it is a bigger piece of this puzzle about Chloe's severe and untreated mental illnesses that she suffered in the months leading up to December 8th. You will also hear testimony that she did have these delusions, that she seemed paranoid, that she reported seeing signs of things that to you and I wouldn't be read that way. That that's all part of mental illness. We are not here to dispute what happened to Hannah. It is truly horrific. It is something that Ms. Driver thinks about every single day. You will hear evidence from witnesses who were with her leading up to this that contradict every aspect.
I mean, I do have to question, like, if she did receive some mental health, could this have all been avoided?
That on December 8th of 2020, that Chloe was in any right state of mind at all. You will hear testimony from those individuals who witnessed her day-to-day mental health breakdowns and delusions themselves. You will also hear testimony about how this investigation by the Canton Police Department was conducted from the very beginning as it related to her severe mental illnesses and her delusions. Ms. Driver was evaluated by several experts in this case, which will be presented to you in this case, including...
I see what y'all were saying in the comments. Bad Girl said, she's not the victim here, ma'am. And I agree. She is not the victim here, no. And I don't like that she's making her the victim. But I want to question if she had received mental health, if this could have all been avoided. And if the answer to that is yes, then is it possible for her to have some kind of insanity plea? Now, I don't know that we could go all the way to insanity and that she isn't held accountable for what she did, because she did do what she did. But I think that there is going to be a big mental health aspect to this, because it appears that she was not in her right mind. And if she had got help, maybe things would have been different. But again, we got to remember, this is the defense's opening statement. So of course it's going to say all of the things that they need to say to try to get you to think one way and feel one way. So as we get deeper into the trial and hear the witnesses and stuff, my thoughts and processes will probably change.
One from the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health. We expect that the evidence will show that every expert that comes before you will say that she was severely mentally ill, that she was delusional, and will offer diagnoses of specific mental health disorders. You will hear from experts that will tell you that she was suffering from these severe mental disturbances, paranoia, and psychosis on December 8th, and in the months leading up to the tragic event.
I can agree with that, bad girl. I'm going to speed this up and see if it's too fast.
They will tell you that they base their information on information they received from the state, from the defense, and from other collateral third parties. They will also tell you that the participation in this group, while initially may have been voluntary, turned into one of an involuntary nature from a psychological perspective.
Content Angel, that's a great point. Content Angel said the prosecutor already took the insanity defense away when she showed us that note. That's why it was in opening. It's evidence she was not insane. Thank you for that. And I appreciate that. And that's a great point. Zio said, I've waited for allegedly speculating to continue past the opening statements. I value this channel and all the opinions. I'm passionate and mad, so it helps to have all of you around me to keep me to keep some balance to my thoughts. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to remember that this is the defense's opening statements and not to like base everything on it. But it's interesting. We do have your back. We got your back.
Is aiming to present this case in such a deliberate manner aimed at eliciting raw emotional responses to what happened. That's it. They want you to ignore the elephant in the room, which is the mental health, which is a huge piece of this puzzle. Despite those initial reactions, we are asking you to think about this. Mothers just do not kill their kids. Ask yourself, what drives someone to do something like this to their baby and to themselves?
Corey said Stockholm Syndrome. That's a good thought.
What drives someone
Not a good thought, but like, a possibility.
To do something like this who, by all reports, loved and cared for Hannah in the most amazing way. Listen to the evidence that's presented about what she experienced in this relationship with Benjamin and what delusions compelled her to this tragic event. Listen to what people say about her ability to know what she was doing, living minute to minute, how she'd be fine 1 minute, the next thing they would describe her as erratic and crazy. There is absolutely no motive in this case for her to kill her daughter. There is no other reason for her to have killed Hannah but for her psychotic symptoms and delusions that she was under on December 8th of 2020. You'll hear that from experts. You'll hear that from the witnesses too. This is the only explanation as to what happened, and the only reason that would be supported by the evidence in this case. We believe that the evidence in this case will clearly lead you to a conclusion that at the end of this case, that she's not guilty by reason of insanity. And that still, because it's provided by law, is a way to hold her responsible for these actions. We expect that that's what the evidence will show, and that will be what we will be asking for you at the end of this case. Thank you.
All right, you can go ahead and distribute the notepads and pencils, but we are going to take a recess.
I want to see what the
We
state
are going
has
to take a
say
recess until 11 o'clock.
in reference to that, like what their rebuttal is going to be. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump into State Witness 1, Kaylee McNeely Canton, the 911 dispatcher.
So while you're
Okay.
Go ahead, love.
okay, this 911 call is disturbing. It is the only thing that I got to enough where I had to stop. So trigger warning for sure. And then the couple of things that you have to have in order for this insanity plea, for the insanity defense to even work, is going to be, like you said, the presence of the mental illness or the defect. She's got to be able to prove that she was having severe mental disorder at the time of the crime. And she has to prove that she had the inability to decide right from wrong, that she did not know that putting the knife up to her baby's throat would unalive her. And the note is a good start. She also has to show, the state has to have the burden of proof, obviously, the loss of control over her actions, and then the evaluation by the mental health professionals that she saw. They have to you go under psychiatric and psychological evaluation with the
Huh.
courts, and she did see two different psychologists, and then has to meet the legal standards for insanity. So I'm really surprised that they were even going to put this on, kind of like Leticia Stout. They didn't have the state had the burden of proof. She tried for insanity. Obviously, she wasn't, because she didn't meet the threshold for the insanity plea. So
Right.
they use like four standards. They use like four standards to decide whether she can even plead that way. So I'm surprised she didn't get in with the battered woman syndrome. She didn't get in with the self-defense. And so this was like the last ditch effort. Like, maybe
Yeah.
we'll just try the insanity plea and see if that sticks to the wall. So it's like throwing
Yeah.
spaghetti. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, and then I would
But
understand.
what other defense is she going to put on? You know,
Right.
she's this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, carry on.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for breaking that down for us.
No, thank you guys.
Oh yeah, I love our comment section. Our comment section here is great. I love how y'all all get along and talk and all of that. Y'all are amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Bad girl.
Your former name was different?
Yes.
Okay. And how are you employed?
I'm currently with the marketing company. At the time, I was an element inspector.
Okay. So when you say at the time, back in December of 2020, what was your employment?
I was a communication officer at Cherokee County 911.
Okay. And what was your primary responsibility in that role?
In this role, I was a call taker and dispatcher working with the 7 agencies that Cherokee County dispatches for.
Okay. And so if somebody in Cherokee County dialed 911, you're somebody that would respond to the call?
Correct.
All right. And we're going to get into the actual calls in question in this case, but I want to ask you a little bit about whether you had the opportunity to review sort of the records that relate to this case.
I did.
Okay. And are you familiar with how many 911 calls were placed?
I believe there was 2. There might have been more, but I can't be sure on more than 2.
Okay. And what was the, do you recall the incident location?
I do.
And what was that?
I believe it was in Canton, 215. Can't remember the street name, but it was in Canton.
All right. And you said that you know that there were 2. What can you tell the jury about when multiple phone calls come in from the same location, how your system communicates with each other?
Yeah, so we are all in the same room. There's about 8 of us, and we all have the opportunity to press answer. So anybody can be on a call at any given time. When this call came in, I was the second one, so we both pressed answer, and both of us picked up the call at the same time.
Okay. And how does the system or your dispatchers, how do they know that 2 different calls are related to the same incident?
So when the first dispatcher took the call, so I was the dispatcher and the call taker for this case. When the first call taker took the call, got the address, put in very little information and sent it to me, where I opened the call, I could see the address, the incident, and like the cross street, the caller, those kinds of things.
Okay. And then when you took this particular call, did you become aware that there was a secondary call happening simultaneously?
It's Canton, Canton would be the city. And yeah, content, that is a sad thought. I wonder if that's what made her change her occupation as well. This 911 call.
Yes.
Okay.
So it pops up and you can see information live as it comes in.
Okay. And so while you were taking the call in question in this case, were you also receiving information that was being provided by a second caller?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Jenny Jen. Yes, Georgia. Sorry, Canton, Georgia. I do know it's Cherokee County. I know I said Canton, Ohio, right? But no, it's Cherokee County, Georgia, and I think she said it's Canton. So.
Are you familiar with who the other dispatcher was?
Camden.
And who was that?
It's Paul McJennett.
All right. And
so they've got it listed as Canton right here. Brian is saying Camden, Camden, Georgia. Thank you. Okay, bad girl, you're good. Thank you guys for listening and for being here.
Your Honor, at this time we'll tender States Exhibit 1 and 2, which are the 2 911 calls. I believe the defense is stipulating the authenticity.
We are. No objection.
States 1 and 2 are admitted.
All right. Your Honor, I'd like to publish these calls.
Go ahead.
All right. Going to start with States Exhibit 1.
Cherokee County 911 on location of your emergency.
215 Mount Vista Boulevard.
215 Mount Vista Boulevard. 215 Mount Vista Boulevard. Yes. What does that run off of? What does that run off of? Canton.
Yes.
Canton, Georgia. Okay. I know the city you're in. What's the closest intersection to you? What's the closest to the main road that you take?
140.
140? What's going
I don't think I could either, Trixie. Thank you, Jenny, for that trigger warning.
Will you turn on subtitles, love, please?
Yeah. Of course. Thank you for asking, actually. I try to keep them on. I keep them on for myself usually, so I'm surprised they're off. Oh, I turned them off the other day because of the Florida fire. We couldn't see that man's face, and it was bothering me. That's why they're not on. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So is it 2:15? Is it 2:15? Give me 1 second. 15. What's your name? My name is Jessica. Okay, Jessica, how are you related to that? They're my cousin. Where's the baby at? Upstairs. Upstairs. In the house. The baby is breathing. Okay. Jessica, what's the mother's name? Chloe. The mother's name is Chloe? Yeah. How old is the baby? I don't know. 7 old. 757 392 6370. Where's the 9? There is one. Okay, so what's going on with the baby? Hold on, let me see. Jessica, I need you to tell me what's going on.
Yes, Jessica is another sister wife.
Jessica. Is she breathing? Is she breathing? I don't know if she's breathing. Where is the 9? I don't know. I think it's upstairs. Okay. Where is the mother at? I believe upstairs. Where's the baby? I believe upstairs. The mother was with the baby. I'm so sorry. Yes. Is there anybody else there with them? Yes, the mother and another friend. I don't know what's going on. I need you to tell me what's going on. And if you're not giving me any information, can you go tell me how the baby is doing? I don't believe she's breathing. You don't believe she's breathing? I don't believe you know what happened. I'm not sure. I think that she was split across the throat. I believe she was split across the throat. I believe so. Do you know why? I do not know why.
Sorry about that, Zayo. I had the comment up and you couldn't even see the subtitles. I can see them on my screen, but when I looked at what y'all were seeing, I saw you couldn't even see them, so I apologize about that.
You good, girl?
I'm sorry. Are you going to give that talk to mom? Still here. Okay. Can you tell me what the mom looks like? Can you tell me her last name? Her last name is Driver, B.R.I.V. to Victor E.R. She's brown hair, brown hair, and brown eyes. What is she wearing? I do not know. I think she's wearing a sweatshirt, a Hogwarts sweatshirt, and purple pants. Okay, give me 1 second.
I believe content asks, wait, did Jessica say we don't know why? I do believe so, because again, at that time, she wouldn't have known why. Like the father, from what I understand, just came into the room and saw what she had done and even screamed out, what have you done? So I think at this point, nobody knew why she did it. I don't even know if anybody knows why she did it technically to this day. They might go over it in trial. You also said that's not going to help Chloe. If Chloe had a history of mental health issues, Jessica would have said, well, Chloe has delusions and did this to her baby. That's a good point. Great point.
Okay, do you see an officer? No, I guess. Have you seen the baby since you've been there? No, just before the mother really didn't, no. Okay. what's on the phone. Okay, we have somebody coming. No, I don't want you to hang up until you're with an officer, okay? She says she doesn't want you to hang up until there's an officer. Yes, what is Chloe doing? I don't know. Open the door now. Where is the baby's dad at? What's his name? It's already open. He's here. Can I let him in? Yes, door. Let him in the door.
She's up there.
Okay, an officer is here. So, let me open the door.
Ms. McNeely, at some point in that call, you said, where is the knife before
Yes.
she had said anything about there being a knife. Can you explain that?
Yes, so
Content said, did you hear that? He told her to hang up and the operator said, no, I want you to stay on the phone. And then the operator said, where's the dad at? What's his name? And Jessica wouldn't say his name. I heard her say, stay on the phone until till the first responders get there. But I didn't hear that part where somebody told her to hang the phone up. That's really interesting considering their lifestyle and how they didn't want to, like he was calling the doctors white coats and things like that. Thank you for pointing that out.
I remember correctly, the very first thing that was sent to me as a dispatcher was mother 48'd her baby with a knife. The 48 is a signal that we use to indicate death. So it would have read mother killed her baby with a knife.
Okay.
So that was the first information that I had.
All right. So when you took the call, that was the preliminary information you were provided?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I want to publish State's Exhibit number 2.
All right, go ahead.
Allegedly, did they say?
Sorry about that.
I was just curious. The caller's name, did they say what her name was?
Yes, she said her name was Jessica, so it's one of the wives named Jessica.
Okay.
I was also sitting here watching Basil eat a little piece of my bread that I gave him, and it was so cute. And I wanted to remind you guys, or let you know, actually, my husband was going through his videos last night, and he found 2 videos. One of them is where I was feeding Basil milk through a little syringe thing that I had to feed him with when he was a baby, like still really small. And another one is where he's really little and he's in my lap and I'm rubbing his belly. So I'm going to get him to send me those and I'm going to upload them for a members only video at some point, either today or tomorrow.
Bunny butt.
Yeah. So I thought y'all might want to see that. So if you guys are members, you'll be able to see that. So be on the lookout for that. I think everybody in here is.
So she is on the list of witnesses to testify. Jessica is on the list to testify.
She is.
She is on the list, yeah. So far.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I mean, there are a couple of days, I think we're behind, or I'm behind at least. I haven't watched this, so I was just kind of curious if she was. But according to the court documents, yeah, they are. She's on the indictment.
Yeah, this is the first day, and I got it sped up so we could try to get through it because I want to catch up to where
you
we're
are
at.
fine. I'm not sure. We'll just have to take it as it goes because I know that it moves pretty fast. So this is totally fine. And
yeah.
This is a 7.5 hour day, the first day. So
yeah. All right, cool. Thank you for letting me know that.
Okay.
What's the address?
No, he's not real big. He's normal size. That's Dib. I didn't put it down.
You know who this lady is? She still has the knife? She still has the knife? everybody on the way out there, okay? 13-month-old baby.
Oh my God.
Is she breathing?
No, I don't think so. She looks dead. Oh my God. I think she's dead.
They're coming to the doctor. They can't. What is your name?
My name's Sarah.
Okay, Sarah, what's your last name? Sarah, I'm sorry. What was your last name? Okay, what's your phone number in case you get disconnected?
They're redacting that for her privacy. It's not me. Yeah, this is a different one.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, who is this lady? What is her name? Do you know?
I don't want to get back to you right now. Please, come quickly.
They're coming back again. I'm just trying to get as much information as I shoot before we get there.
I know.
They're coming as fast as they can. Now, where was the baby back at? Where at on the body?
The neck, right across the neck.
Right across the neck, like she was the baby's neck.
Yes.
I think she when she was asked her name, she told him that it was Sarah. I didn't catch the other part. It's hard to hear. That's why we have the subtitles on, Trixie. I don't know if you're at a spot where you can watch it, but that kind of helps. But yeah, chat's talking about it too.
Are you right there? You're the baby now?
I think that's what she's doing. It's so like in her.
They're coming as fast as they can, but we're trying to do something before they get there. I need you to listen to me and do what I'm asking you, okay? I need you to go there where the baby is at, okay?
Yes.
Okay, are you in there now?
Yes. She's turning a little area now.
Okay, is she awake?
I don't believe so.
Okay, she's breathing.
Her eyes are open. She's making a little noise. Her heart keeps jumping. She's making little noises. Yes, they're coming. They're coming. And
Okay, is there any serious bleeding?
there's so much blood.
Okay.
Oh my God.
The paramedics help you out. They'll tell you exactly what to do next, okay? We're going to have to try and stop this bleeding, okay?
Okay. Yep. We're going to stop the bleeding.
Stop the bleeding. I'm going to tell you how to stop the bleeding. Listen, just to make sure we do it right. Get a clean, dry cloth or a towel and tell me when you're out, okay?
Yes, we got the shirt.
Okay, Sarah, right? Directly on the room and come down the room.
Okay. There's no blood coming out of the wound, but we're going to have to put a towel on.
Do not deduct and look underneath it. And without lifting the clean cloth and towel, so we know the bleeding is stopped.
Keep the shirt on there, hold it really tight. Okay. Yep.
Oh my God.
Keep blowing air into her mouth.
Okay, keep doing that, okay? But you got to keep that bleeding controlled, all right?
Okay. I think this bleeding stopped for the most part.
How long ago did this happen? I mean, like, when you called?
Yeah, screaming, I was outside, I was screaming, came up the upstairs, and the detective just was happening. It's maybe, from as far as I know, I last heard her making noise like, maybe 10 minutes ago, if not sooner.
Sarah, are you okay?
Oh, bodily fine, yeah.
Okay, no, I understand. All right? You guys keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing, okay? You let me know when they're right there with you, all right? The police officer's going to get there first, and you should have a fire truck or ambulance right after that.
She's trying not to cry. Jenny Jen says Sarah is the third wife. Content says Lord Jesus, and that's where I'm at with this. This is hard to hear. No emotion from her. Yeah, it looked like she tried to wipe tears away. She might have been crying. I don't know. Not enough emotion, in my opinion. Yeah. Her lawyer handed her a tissue. Yep.
Yes, make sure the door isn't locked. Just make sure you don't have anything in your hands for me, okay?
Okay. You don't have anything in your hands, so make sure the door is open, and when they get here, let them in, okay? I believe there are two of us on the phone with them on right now. Yeah, they're already coming. It's okay. Yeah. Can you make sure the door's open now and let them in when they get here?
Who's going down to the door now, Sarah?
Connie. Can you go to the door, please? And so open the door. No, downstairs. The garage door, open the garage door, and the police get here, let them in. Maybe get Gary.
We're at the house. Yeah, we're at the house of the baby.
Here, I believe.
Okay, just let me know when they're right there with
McNeely, when these calls are happening, what information are you communicating to fire, EMS, and law enforcement?
So at the time, I was only working for Canton PD's radio.
Okay.
And I'm relaying everything.
Okay.
From the time that the call is sent to me to the time that they tell me to shut down the radio because they're on scene, which means no traffic unless it's pertaining to that incident. So I handled everything all the way through beginning to end until shift change.
Okay. So this would have been communicated to Canton PD
Correct.
officers to respond?
Yes.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Good morning.
Okay.
In those calls, you were asking questions related to a knife. Was that because you had received that information from your fellow colleague about a knife?
Yes, it was in the call.
Okay. And the reasons you were doing that were to kind of, ascertain what the actual situation was that was going on, correct?
First and safety of my officers, yes.
Correct. So the next step of that process was you want to make sure you could advise the officers that were incoming as to what was going on in that house, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And after listening to both of those calls today, it's fair to say that neither one of you were not aware, nor your colleague was aware that there actually was a second victim at that house, correct?
We did, no.
Okay. So no one.
So that's interesting that nobody even told anybody that Chloe was deceased, or had a stab wound to her neck, which I could understand because Hannah is going to be, of course, the forefront of everybody's mind. I paused it to say I don't think those officers were ready for what they walked in on at all whatsoever, even with dispatch telling them everything.
No one at any point during those calls had indicated to you that Ms. Driver had also stabbed herself and needed assistance, correct?
No.
Thank you.
All right, you can step down. Any reason to keep the witness?
Yeah, you're right.
All right, you can be excused. Call your next witness, please.
Gerald Kaplan.
Okay, next is the homeowner. I'm gonna kind of skip through. I doubt he has really any pertinent information if he's not one of the people that lived in the house at the time. Oh yeah, this is a break. So okay, so this is an officer. He's probably going to be like one of the first on the crime. So we'll listen to him real quick and see if he says anything. If what he says doesn't seem like it's real pertinent either, we will skip past or through his. I don't think any first responder would be ready for that either, Sarah. It almost sounds like she wanted to take herself out along with her child, or at least make it look that way. Yeah, I think that was the intention. She did go for the throat, but she only did herself one time, so I don't know.
Can you tell me your name?
My name is Gary Pruitt.
Okay. That's okay. And Mr. Pruitt, how are you employed?
I'm employed with Allied Universal Security Services, and I'm assigned to Lockheed Martin in physical security.
Okay. And prior to that role, how were you employed?
I was employed with the City of Somerville Police Department. Prior to that, I was employed with the City of Canton Police Department, and my first department that I worked for was, again, the City of Somerville.
Okay. How long have you been in law enforcement?
I was in law enforcement on and off from November of 2017 until June of 2023.
Okay. And for what period of time were you employed with the City of Canton?
I was employed with the City of Canton from February of 2019 until March of 2021.
Okay. And so I want to draw your attention to December 8th of 2020. What was your role with the department at that time?
On December 8th, 2020, I was assigned to the Uniform Patrol Division, and I was doing things such as enforcing municipal and state laws and ensuring the safety of the public in the City of Canton.
Okay. On patrol, in that role you were in at that time, how would you receive calls to respond?
I would receive calls from the Cherokee County Communications Dispatch Center over my police car radio.
Okay. And I want to talk to you specifically about a call that came through to respond to 1015 Mountain Vista Boulevard. Do you recall that?
I do.
All right. Where were you at when you received that call?
I was in my patrol vehicle parked in the back of a cemetery that's located off Scott Mill Road in Canton near Marietta Road.
Okay. And do you recall what time you got that call?
Approximately 2:27 p.m.
2:27 p.m. Okay. And what was the information that you had when you were responding?
Well, the call came out.
Hey, bad girl. Thanks for coming back.
Out, it was that a mother had killed her baby with a knife.
Okay. And when that's being transmitted, is it being transmitted to you over radio or?
It was over the radio in my patrol vehicle.
All right. And at that time when you got the call, did you have any appreciation for who was going to arrive at that residence first, or were there other responders involved?
I was the initial dispatched officer. Sergeant Jose Soto also responded to the scene. It could have been whatever officer decided to respond as well, but due to the priority of the call, as many officers that were available would have decided to respond. Sergeant Soto and I arrived on the scene at pretty much the exact same time.
Okay. And how far was that 215 Mountain Vista Boulevard from where you were at?
From the cemetery, I would estimate it was anywhere from about 1.5 miles to 2.5 miles.
Okay. And what do you recall about the timing of your arrival compared to other officers?
I would say very much the same. Sergeant Soto and I were in different parts of the city, and we were both running with our emergency lights and sirens going, and we arrived there pretty much simultaneously, but Sergeant
Good point, Sarah.
Soto ended up getting inside the residence before I did, but it was only a difference of maybe 35 seconds.
Okay. And were both yourself and Sergeant Soto equipped with body-worn cameras?
Yes,
Okay. Was that part of your agency's policy?
it was.
Okay. Is that something that you have to turn them on, or do they automatically come on?
You have to physically press the button to record with the body cameras as well as stopping the recording.
Okay. And so tell me about your response when you got there. What did you do? How did you proceed?
Well, when I arrived on scene, I had not initially realized that Sergeant Soto had already entered the residence. I parked my vehicle in front of the house, and I went up the driveway and spoke with a Caucasian elderly male that was later identified to me as, I believe, Gerald Martin, and he was the homeowner.
Okay.
And at the time, I didn't realize that my sergeant had already entered the residence, so I told him to stay outside where my sergeant could see him, and I asked him, where the woman was at, referring to Miss Driver, and he informed me that she was upstairs, that the people at the house were friends of his, and that she and the baby were upstairs. And shortly after that point, I entered the residence.
Okay. And did you proceed directly upstairs?
Yes, to the best of my recollection, I started out in the downstairs living room. There was a female that was later identified to me as Jessica Caffigan, I believe. She was standing in the living room.
So evidently that homeowner he was there when the first responders got there and said that the house belonged to his friends, but I don't think he lived at the house, if I'm not mistaken.
Gerald Albin.
Yeah.
So the only thing I found, like a small summary, it doesn't attest to what you're saying, but I think it backfired on as far as what they were doing, because he ended up testifying in support of the defense's argument in her mental state, is what it says, and that he highlighted aspects of her psychological condition and the challenges she was facing up to the time of incident. And he suggested that her actions might have stemmed from mental illness rather than malice. And his insights apparently show that her mental health issues could have impaired her judgment and control at the time of the incident. Fired on the prosecution, because obviously he was a prosecution's witness. So,
Okay. Thank you for telling or finding that summary. I really appreciate that. So I'm not going to go back and play it again because we just heard our lovely Zio here break that down for us. Thank you, Zio. I appreciate it.
I don't know content how the landlord would know all that, but I'm definitely going to investigate.
Yeah, that's interesting. If we need to, we'll go back and play it, but I'm going to keep going for now. If we need to, we'll go back and play it, or you guys can watch it later, or she just gave us a summary, so I don't feel it's very pertinent right now. We'll see.
You can reference your report if you need to refresh your recollection, but you can't read from it. So,
oh, wow, Sarah. That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm sorry that he's having to deal with that. That's a hard thing to deal with. Thank you for sharing that info, though.
Go ahead.
If you need to look at it to refresh your memory, that's completely fine. Just let us know.
Sure.
So you said you initially encountered the homeowner, Gerald, where was he located?
He was outside the residence in the driveway.
Okay. And then you said you went into the living room and observed someone later identified to as Jessica Caffigan?
Yes, she was standing in the living room, and I believe she was on the phone.
She was on the phone. Do you know who she was on the phone with?
No.
Okay. And what other people did you encounter at that house?
After seeing Jessica, I proceeded up a staircase that led to the second floor, and there was another female, I believe her name was Sarah Stiles, and After I saw her, I told her to go downstairs. I didn't believe that she was the suspect. She didn't have, to my recollection, she didn't have any blood or anything on her. I told her to go downstairs, and that's when I began to proceed toward where the bedroom where the incident had taken place was at.
Okay. And who was located in the bedroom when you got in there?
I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. I'm glad that he's doing better.
Sergeant Soto was in there. He had probably only been in there maybe half a minute at most prior to me getting into the bedroom. It was a man named Jason Spillers who was kind of kneeling over Chloe Driver, who was laying on her back on the floor next to the bed. It was Ben Michael. He was standing over the mattress and had his hands near the neck area of Hannah Driver, an infant who was bleeding profusely and covered in blood, as well as the mattress. So it would have been myself, Sergeant Soto, Jason Spillers, Benjamin, Hannah Driver, and Chloe Driver. So 6 people total at that point.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to review yours and Sergeant Soto's body cam video from that day?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And do those truly and accurately reflect the scene as you recall it?
They do.
Your Honor, at this time, I would tender states 3 and 4.
No objection.
Chair admitted.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to publish the first 7.5 minutes of State's Exhibit 3.
No objection.
Okay, this is going to be a body cam footage of him going in that room and seeing that baby on the ground and with the blood and all of the things. So I really want to give y'all a really heavy trigger warning. It's about to get bad. Please, if you need to leave right now and come back to another stream, please feel free to do so.
Content, they had different, they gave each other different names. And they did call him Benjamin.
Yeah, they changed their names to I don't know what you would call it, but like they changed their names due to religious reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, Corey, don't watch if it's going to trigger you. I absolutely agree with you 100%. Sometimes you just can't watch.
Yeah, and if you need to step away, feel free. I don't want to traumatize or trigger anybody, and I appreciate y'all being here.
Before you hit play, allegedly, it looks like in Chloe Driver's case, the landlord's testimony, it looks like he was observant enough to testify about the tenant's behavior. So it looked like apparently she and another person had signs of distress or unusual activity over time. So he was kind of maybe a nosy landlord. I don't know. I can't testimony,
Right.
and we can go back and watch at a different time. It looks like there might have been some history of some concerns about certain issues that were raised on the property. So he was involved. He was a little more involved.
Okay, thank you for that, and thank you for finding those synopsis.
Sure.
Thank you. Jenny said Jewish or Hebrew names, so they changed their names to Jewish or Hebrew names. Thank you, Jenny, for that. All right, I'm gonna play this, and again, if you need to leave, feel free.
Your Honor, I'm pausing at 34 seconds. I just want to make the record clear. I'm publishing Sergeant Soto's body cam video, which is State's Exhibit 3. Resuming at 34 seconds.
She's upstairs? Where you at? Is it her? No. All right, where's the weapon? Please, you want that? Please help her, please. I got you. We're gonna help her, but is she armed? No,
So I don't know if they're actually going to show it, but we can hear it.
Okay. All right, where's she at? Okay, who's stabbed?
She stabbed the baby while the door is locked. She's looking to help.
She's right there. She's looking. Go ahead and go.
Yeah, Corey.
I don't think she's looking to help me.
I got you. Sergeant Cherokee. Go ahead and send me in. Did she stab herself? Okay. Just keep pressure on her, okay? I need gloves. You got gloves?
EMS code.
30 Cherokee.
Oh, dang it. EMS code.
Hey, get a towel. Hey. I need hey, tell somebody to give me a towel. Turkey Cherokee. 510.3. Where's the baby hurt at? Where's he hurt at?
She got a little poke in her neck.
Okay.
Little poke in her neck.
Little poke on her neck? Okay. Hold on.
So I guess that was her that we heard moaning or something in the background, and they said she had a little poke on her neck. So that would make me think it was more of a superficial type thing than actually trying to do something type thing.
This is the suspect, brother. Go ahead. She's slit her throat. Yeah.
I'm gonna see you later.
Yeah. So get them out here. Get them range. I have to get pressure on this. She's slit her throat. I got a towel. Just give me a towel. I'm going to go check the Just get there 39. Just get there 39. Come on. Take it. Come on, go downstairs. Come on. Come on, quick. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. She's out. He's got. Come on, buddy. Relax. Hey, we got it. They're here. Come on. Come on. She stabbed herself in the neck. Yeah. Calm down. Yeah. Where's the mother? She's right here.
Where's he? Yes.
It's okay. Get out of the way. Get out the door now. Yeah, her neck area. I'm just trying to. I already called Hamilton. Hey. Yeah, I already called Hamilton. Your cousin Hamilton already knows they're out. Hamilton already knows they're out. That's the first thing I did call.
Hey, how you doing?
That's a knife right there.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Hey, listen, we're gonna hold you. Are you breathing okay? Yes, I'll be breathing fine, okay? Yeah, where's? No, I haven't seen her yet. Okay. All right. Anything else, anyone? Hey, listen, let's get happy going. Get happy started. Which is Mount Vista?
Yeah, 215 Mount Vista.
No, this is Comanche. What's your last first number?
I haven't even seen her. I'm just trying to hold her and see her baby. You see her hand.
No, this is Comanche.
How old is she? I'm not sure. But she looks young, 20 something. What did you do?
Last round.
I dropped it on the floor.
I I don't want to pause during this so we can get through it because it's very hard to listen to. Y'all were saying some things though. Excuse me. Zio said a specific medication details have been disclosed for driver, though her mental health and potential treatment for psychosis play no central role in the defense's strategy. She fixed it to put no central
No,
role.
no specific medications have been disclosed. We don't know what she's on or what she got put on when she went in. We have no idea.
Oh, okay. So let me reread that. No specific medication details have been disclosed for a driver, though her mental health and potential treatment for psychosis play a central role in the defense's strategy. That's what it was supposed to say. Sarah said she could be medicated. Bad Girl said maybe she unalived Hannah to hurt him, like she wanted to take what he loved the most. That's where that would make more sense to me as to why she would hurt the baby. I think it'd be something more along those lines.
Yeah, that's enough. So just keep it. Just stay there for a second with the knife.
And I'm stopping the video at 7 minutes and 34 seconds. And then I'm going to publish the first 8 minutes and 40 seconds of Officer Pruitt's body cam, which is State's Exhibit number 4.
So now he does security for Lockheed Martin, which is like interesting that you're doing security for such a big company. And Allied Security is like them little cars you see outside of Walmart and stuff doing the security. I was wondering if this case possibly made him stop being a police officer, because I don't think I could walk into stuff like this. I can tell you right now, I probably would have left her laying on the floor. I would have been like, yeah, we need to get the baby to the hospital stat. We can just leave her here. And I shouldn't be like that, but that's probably what I would have done. That's why I wouldn't make a good police officer. Okay, Sarah, thank you. Hey, Liz Oliver, thank you for being here today.
Give me some DNA from the suspect. Temporal, get the sirens off. Temporal.
I agree, Bad Girl. I don't think I could handle it either. I really don't. It takes a strong person.
Temporal, show me myself in 313, 1023.
Trixie, you're good, love. Liz says my mom's been a 911 operator for 40 years. Oh, wow. I bet she's got some stories to tell. It takes a strong person. Yeah, Liz says it's rough. I can only imagine. I know that she's got to be a strong person, and I'm sure you are too. That I couldn't imagine having a job like that. Good God. Hearing that kids are missing and people are dying. And I mean, oh, goodness gracious. I couldn't do it. They are. They really are.
additional 51, 215 now, physical alert, and then 1431.
Come on here. Baby and women. Okay, stay up here where my sword is. Who else? How many people's in here? How many people are in here? Who are they to you? Who else in here? Do you live here? Police department? Police department? Okay, who's done? She's not the people who was locked. She's going to the house. Where's the suspect? She's right there. She's not. She's like, go ahead. Please, I don't think you should go without you. Sorry to carry it. Go ahead. Did she stab herself? She's like, where's the? Pressure on her, okay?
Yes, content. What the first one we heard was the first officer that got there, Officer Soto. That wasn't the guy that's on the stand. Now we're listening and they're playing in court the body cam footage from the man that's on the stand right now. He got there, he said, about 35 seconds after the first officer did, the first one that we heard. Zaya says Chloe was in the hospital 10 days after the incident before she mentioned delusions. She refused physical therapy to learn to walk again, and she said she will just be sitting in a jail cell. Oh, wow. Well, that tells me a lot right there.
EMS code 1. Oh, dang it. EMS code 1. Who else is in this house? Yes, no. Oh, come on, man. Give me a towel. Somebody give me a towel. Police department. Just give me as many as you can. Hurry. Hurry. Here. This is the circle. Go upstairs, sir. Go upstairs. I'm going to sit in my seat. Get them out here. Get their information. Come on. You gotta do this. Go over here. I want to see my baby. Okay, just watch. Stay right now. Score down. That's you. I got it. Just stay out. No, we gotta get out. I just want to see your baby. I just want to be with her in case she doesn't. She's a girl. What's her name? Hannah Nicole Drummond. I just want to see. What's her birthday? Just step a little bit this way, please. Please, I need you to clear the hallway. Right? Stay out here. You have to. I just want to see her. What's Hannah's birthday? 10/25. 10/25. 19. What's the mother's name? Is that the mother? Chloe Alexis Driver. CHOLE? Yes. It's a typical Chloe spelling. What's Chloe's birthday? 5/15/29. It's 2000. 5/19/29. Yes, 5/19/2000. Get over. Move. 5/18. 19. 20. 2000. 5/19 of 2000. 18/2000. 5/18/2000. What's your name, sir? My name? Yes. Just take my license. It's a lot to my baby potentially times. You're spending life with someone. Sir, back up out the door now. Get out the door.
Everybody go downstairs, please. Go, get out the door, get out the door, get out the door, get out the door. Over there, over there. Over there, come on. Stay here. Just try to hold it together for me, bro. We're gonna do everything in our ability to help you, okay? It's okay, I understand. Just try to breathe, keep still and breathing, okay?
Dio said I forgot my address when I called the ambulance for my family member once. It was so odd. I was staying home sick from school one day and somebody broke into my house. It was actually somebody who knew my brother and he was coming in to try to steal my brother's pew-pews and things like that. And anyway, I was upstairs and the person didn't know that. So I was like, I used to have this big chest thing, like a trunk. And I was hiding behind that and talking to the police and whispering, and I forgot my address too. And you're shaking and you can't breathe. It's just the nerves and the trauma from it. It makes you go into kind of like a semi state of shock when you have to call the ambulance and you forget things.
Stopping the video at 8 minutes and 41 seconds.
I think this is a good time for a recess. We're going to let you be in recess for 20 minutes until 10 after 2. Leave us your notepads. Don't talk to any.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being here. I don't like to ask, but if you don't mind, please hit the thumbs up so we can get out and more people can learn about our little speculating family over here and come hang out. Let's see what this is. This is a police officer.
I am Officer Adam Yurkovsky. That's Yurkovsky, Yurkovsky.
All right. And how are you presently employed?
I'm currently employed with the City of Peachtree City Police Department here in Fayette County, Georgia.
All right. And how were you employed prior to that?
Prior to that, I was employed with the City of Canton Police Department for about.
Okay, y'all. So this is a police officer, and then a paramedic is going to come. I'm not going to play all of that. This is a detective that came. We might play the detective, but I don't think that they saw anything really. This one is a long testimony, so we might go through some of his and let's see what's at the end. And then digital forensics. I really want to hear from the people in the house, but I wanted to let you know what was in here just in case you guys want to go back and watch. I'm going to start with this longer officer who has the longer testimony, and we'll see what he has to say. Trying to kind of skip through to get to where we need to be. So if you guys want to go back through and watch those, feel free.
As a sergeant.
We'll turn your attention to Tuesday, December 8th of 2020. Obviously, you know why you're here today to talk about that day.
Yes, sir.
If I can just kind of pinpoint that date, at that time in history, what was the sheriff's office like when it came to crime scene technicians? How many we have? What kind of people were in that?
We had 2 full-time, myself and my lieutenant, and then we had several part-time officers and civilian.
Thank you, Content. I appreciate it. It was a long time ago. I was little, I was probably a teenager. I was a teenager, but I don't know how old. Maybe like 14 or something. But I appreciate that. A long time ago.
Larger. Just our criminal investigation division was 3/4 of their whole department at the time, so we could bring to bear a lot of resources.
And is the sheriff's office at that time a professional organization?
Yes, we were both state and national certified.
In bigger agencies like the sheriff's office in Cherokee County in 2020, at that time, was there specialization for certain skills and talents that officers, investigators, and detectives had?
At that time, for us, we could specialize. So in 2010, I began my crime scene journey at the state level and getting my state certification. In 2015, I was afforded the opportunity to attend the National Forensics Academy, where I graduated with session 39 from the National Forensics Academy. So that's our ultimate goal in crime scene. We get to train with other crime scene investigators from all over the country, and sometimes we get to train with them from all over the world. And so
he might, Zio, I'm not sure.
There, we continued our training and bringing that large network.
Yes.
Okay, so I think he talked to her at the hospital.
They are.
You want me to approach again?
Yes.
showing photos of something.
Just anterior to evidence now, states exhibits 29 through 35.
You said no objection? All right, they're admitted.
And publish a new one.
Yes.
Sean, what do we have here? States exhibit 29.
So this is just an overall top down of the victim child as she was when I arrived at Northside Cherokee Hospital.
And where is this room in the emergency room?
I believe their trauma room in the emergency room is right off the ambulance entrance. I don't remember if I was the first or second room, but it's right there off the emergency, where the ambulance is pulled up.
When you first walked in, was anybody with her?
Just the deputy coroner.
States 30, what do we have?
So after initial photographs, I removed the hospital and ambulance blankets to reflect the presentment of the decedent in the hospital. And so that's what we have here, documenting all of the medical intervention, but also documenting the significant volume of blood.
If you could for us in this photograph, states exhibit 30, is this the condition that you found, Hannah?
This was when I arrived.
When you arrived at us, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you, for the record, describe what is on her left foot?
On the left foot is the sock.
States 31.
We do document from the head down, full documentation with pictures. So I asked the deputy coroner to position, and what I'm looking for is not only evidence on the top, but any evidence of any injury or anything that may have been missed at the scene. And so I want to make sure I get a full documentation of the decedent's face.
States 32. Which hand are we looking at here?
This is going to be the left hand.
I'm going to zoom in. And what do we notice in this photograph?
And so my documentation of the whole was the arm, but that is a significant pooling and clotting artifact of blood. Also, the amount of saturation and layering in the clothing item that was removed.
States 33. Is this the right hand here?
This is going to be the right hand. And again, we're just documenting the volume of blood and then the transfer throughout the body, different areas where blood was deposited on the baby skin.
States 34.
These are the injuries that I noted on the child's neck, the two linear puncture wounds going down, and then the linear laceration below those two puncture wounds on the neck. And I've asked the deputy coroner to reflect the neck back to show them in a natural state. They're not stretched, but as the head would lie with hand, so as to document those.
So another thing that I'm picking up on here, and just thoughts that are crossing my mind as I'm listening, her wound was not deep and almost superficial, yet the baby's wounds were so deep that she's obviously hitting arteries and things like that for there to be so much blood. I apologize for being graphic with that. So my issue with the insanity plea, if I was a juror, would be that, you made sure that the baby was not going to make it, but when you did it to yourself, I mean, you did it in a way that you could make it, and it wasn't as bad. Like, I don't, like you, it's not like he walked in and she was still continuing to try to stab herself, right? She had just stabbed herself once in the neck and then fell down. Not that that's horrible, but that is horrible, but the fact she went way harder on the baby, and that's going to be an issue with the insanity plea for myself as well. Yeah.
Those injuries.
Girl. I agree.
In States 35, what did you do here?
I needed to give scale, to give size and angle, if you will, of that large injury present on the child's neck.
And there he's talking about the angle and photo of the large injury on the baby's neck. But again, talking about her neck, it was a little almost superficial. Like, I would have a problem with that because, yeah, it would say to me you had malice towards the child and not towards yourself. Unless she's medicated out, yeah, she probably is.
How long were you at the hospital with Hannah?
I think an hour and a half to do everything, plus to consult with the deputy coroner and make sure that I had done a thorough documentation of the child's injuries.
Your man approach.
That is such a sad thing to think about.
It was 36.
Zaya, that is a really sad thing to think about. They haven't said anything important since I was muted. This is hard.
Yes, sir.
Are those staring over photographs of the location in this case at 215 Mountain Vista?
Yes, sir.
Just at this time, I tuned that in State's Exhibit 36 through 43.
Can you just, 36 through, I'm sorry,
43, Your Honor.
43 are admitted.
Now published, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Charles, let's look at this. So about, I guess you got there, it's dark, it's later.
By the time the search warrant got there, we were able to read, yes, it had turned dark.
Now, a search warrant is a legal authority gives you to go in and search a place. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, nobody was giving you a problem not to search the house, though. Is that correct?
Correct.
And why do y'all normally just go ahead and get a search warrant? Is it just something you routinely do?
We do it in case we need to perform functions that may potentially damage a residence. If I have to remove items from a residence, if I have to.
That was my first thought, because if you have a search warrant, then you can technically damage items if you had to. Whereas if you didn't have a search warrant, it would be a charge.
Start cutting into walls, remove carpet, remove large items from a residence. I want to make sure that I have a legal document. I also want to make sure that I'm staying within the scope of my legal document as a crime scene investigator. So we do it as a matter of work to ensure that we're doing the right thing for that specific scene and we're in our correct zone.
How long did it take you to process the scene here? Do you remember?
I know we were there for several hours.
Would you consider this, and I'm not taking anything away from the case in any means, but when it comes to the complication of the tools and things that you had to use in this case, did you have to do anything, any specialization like remove carpeting or take DNA or do any type of laser work or anything like that in this case? Or was this more of a, it is what it is when you walk in the room, you see it?
With this particular scene, once we got to where the incident occurred, it was a pretty clear cut scene. It was very contained to a single room. It was photographs, measurements, documentation.
This is States 36. What are we looking at here?
This is the exterior front of the residence. We're just giving ourselves a location, walking you, ladies and gentlemen, into the residence.
States 37, what is this photograph of?
Again, this is just another angle of the residence showing the driveway and where it leads to in this particular house. So it's a side entrance, drive under garage.
The jury has seen probably more camera video and they've seen the injury, but if you go into this garage and you're looking here at States 38, this door, tell us about this door. Where does that lead to?
So this door leads into the, it was a kitchen foyer. It's a very strange layout. It's a narrow hall. There's lots of stuff.
Is it States 40? So that picture, when you come in that door, you're looking down the hallway?
Yes.
And I think, am I correct that if you walk straight and kind of go left, it's going to go towards the stairs? Is that right?
I believe so.
So that's States 40. States 41, if you walked into this room and if you kind of orientate yourself by this door, fireplace, and this draper curtain thing here.
Serena says, which is a great point. The defense may try to say she was in psychosis while injuring her child, but snapped out of it, saw what she did, and then tried to hurt herself, but couldn't go through with it. Not saying she said not saying that that's true. Like, she's allegedly speculating right now. And I think that is very possible. And that's a good defense strategy if they try to use it. But again, I wouldn't fall for it as a juror because of just the way she hurt the baby and then hurt herself. But yeah, that is very possible for the defense to try to use, and they probably will. Yeah, they did. I saw that Star David content.
Now I'm going to stage 42. You see linking them up here. So you come through, come in that door, walk straight ahead, turn left, and I think you end up here. Is that right?
Correct. And then that will take you upstairs.
Is upstairs where the stabbing occurred?
Upstairs is where the incident occurred. Yes, sir.
What do we have here in stage 43?
We're just showing pathway upstairs, walking whoever into the house up the stairs.
Young man approach. And then you take exhibits 44 through 82. Look at those and make sure they're fair and accurate photographs that you took in this case. 44 through 82.
Bad girl, I think it was on the wall, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what I saw on the wall, hanging in towards the kitchen or living room, one of them. Sarah, another good point, said our bodies will always fight to survive. Taking one's life via knife isn't quick, and it's very painful unless your pain receptions are not functioning due to disassociation. That's why I question the superficial wound. Right. Yep. And Bad Girl says, poor Hannah. Content said it was on the wall and it was blue. Yeah, that's what I thought I saw. Yeah, I do want us to always remember Hannah, the victim in all of this. That poor child.
A lot of this stuff that you're looking at, if you want to get to the meat and potatoes of it, you're pretty good to move to day 2. About an hour in is Jason Spiller's testimony. So whenever you're ready for that, it's pretty much the rest of the stuff on the investigator side. We can all look into that. I mean, but the meat and potatoes is who was actually there in the house and what was happening. If you wanted to move to that, it's totally valid. If unless you wanted to go through another hour and a half of the state's witnesses on who was at the scene, that's totally up to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm gonna play this so we can see pictures and get the inside of the house. But when they finish with the pictures, we'll go ahead and jump to that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I really appreciate you telling me that, because now I'm gonna know where to go when we get to day 2. I'm hoping we can get there today because it's already 4:00 my time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I just fall in and I'm like, oh, let's just spend the whole day.
me
It's
too.
allegedly speculating.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, I could watch this stuff all day. I do want to let y'all know that tonight at 9, I'm going to be on Zio's channel. We're going to talk about some drama going on in the true crime community. If you guys want to join me over there, I will pin her link real quick if you guys want to subscribe. That'll be 9:00 my time, and my time right now is 4:00 exactly. So I don't know what time that would be for y'all. But I do want to let y'all know that. And I want to look at these pictures of the inside of the house, and then we'll try to get to Jason's testimony today. If not today, then we'll do it either tomorrow or Saturday, because I want to go over the kidnapping girl that has the 2 black eyes. I saw the body cam footage on that a while back, and I wanted to show you guys that. So we might talk about that tomorrow and then jump back into this, or we might just keep going on this and play that one another time too. Haven't figured it out yet. I'm going to grab her link real quick for you guys and pin it at the top. Okay, now her link is pinned at the top, and I'll drop the StreamYard. Well, if y'all want to come up on the StreamYard with me and Zio, let me know. But right now, her channel link is pinned to the top. Yeah, there's drama all over the street.
Judge, at this time, I intend to evidence takes exhibit 44 through 82.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
And that post, those are on.
Yes.
Stage 44, what are we looking at here?
We're looking at the entryway into the bedroom, but more importantly, I was documenting the forced entry into the bedroom.
And how do you know that's forced?
The frame has been split down the middle where the latch would go, and it pushed in.
Did you have any knowledge of who forced the door?
I don't.
You were just processing the scene?
Correct.
You don't normally interview witnesses or anything like that. You're just dealing with the loci or the actual location?
Yes, when we're asked to assist an agency and process a scene, that's exactly what we do. I don't, because I'm not the detective in charge of the investigation. I just document what is there, what is not there for those detectives.
Shelby, some other items that you noted?
A couple small items.
Next picture, stage 45. Is this just a picture of the busted door frame?
So what I've done is I've gone closer in, so I'm going to go from bottom up, just documenting the forced entry.
46, same thing, just going up in the middle of the door frame?
The middle of the door frame, but that is where the catch would be.
47?
Top of the door frame.
48, what do we have here?
And so now I'm walking into the scene, and so I want to look down. So we think about a camera sees like our eyes do, but it doesn't move. It doesn't have peripheral per se. So it's my job to make sure that I show you everything, so that I move from bottom to top and keep it center. So that's all I'm doing is documenting that there's nothing right there at that door jam.
When you're processing a scene initially, do you know what evidence or items and articles or things like that are significant or relevant, or you just make sure you document the entire scene?
We do two ways. And when we're assisting an agency, I stay within the scope of the search warrant that is given to me. In this particular case, it was read before I went in. I knew the parameters of the search warrant, and so I stayed within those scopes. But as far as knowing what's relevant and not, I would generally get that through my walkthrough, confer with the detective and go, hey, you need to maybe think about X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, whatever's in that search warrant, whatever the detective is asking us to collect, process, document, is what we're going to do. But in the documentation, when I want to make sure that I get all of the scene, I may take some liberties, and then I'm going to take more pictures, try to get as much as I can while staying within the parameters and scope of the search warrant.
Could you explain to the jury how oftentimes we just talk about a crime scene, but a crime scene could be a scene as in a place, but it could also be people involved, whether it's the suspect or the victim, or could there be multiple crime scenes?
In this case, there were two crime scenes. So the victim child was the first scene because that decedent has evidence on it, around it, near it, or sometimes in them, depending on the mechanism used. And then there's a physical location where the crime may have occurred. So in this instance, we have the residence, but then we go upstairs to this particular bedroom and we find our scene. This is where we believe, based on the evidence and the presentment of that room, where this crime occurred. And so we have those two scenes.
Have you ever worked a knifing or a stabbing case where two people are involved and you're trying to figure out who's the primary aggressor?
Yes, we actually did one several years ago where we reconstructed it and ended up reversing, and it was determined to be an act of self-defense. Responded, and it was a stabbing, lots of blood documentation. There were actually 3 scenes involved in that one, the residence and 2 areas of the street where the fight continued. And so
do you look for evidence of blood being spilled, and where it's spilled, is that significant?
it can be, it's going to show me movement, and depending on where it falls and the type of blood that it is, can give me more clues.
Do you look for injuries on the people involved?
Yes.
Do you have to also know like who's involved in the relationship and the size and things like that?
Not necessarily when I'm doing my initial investigation, because I want to know what the scene is telling me, in that if I have blood, and I do this because I was a detective for so long, I don't want to engage my detective brain to force me to a conclusion. I want to stay impartial and let that scene talk to me. So when I see large volumes of blood, I'm going to note them. And then from there, once I've had an opportunity to take in that scene, then I can start looking at individual patterns and stains to make a determination of what kind of pattern or stain they are. And then from there, decide if they're going to give me information.
Stage 49, as we walk into the room a little bit more, what do we see here?
This was our first presentment. We noted a small knife just lying in the floor. And so we took note of that.
Stage 50, what do we have here?
And so all I've done is turn my body with my camera to capture more of the room. So now we're seeing an overall of the room, but now we have relation of the knife. I start to see our presentment of, there's a volume of blood on the floor. We see evidence of medical intervention, and we start to kind of get our boundaries for this particular bedroom.
51 just still going to the right, is that correct?
Yes.
52, what do we have here?
So here I'm inside the corner now, and I am along the right wall. So we have a mattress on the floor covered in a sheet, a large volume of blood with some transfers that would show movement on that sheet in this bedroom.
States 53, what do we have here?
And so now from my position in the room, I'm coming back to our left as I stand in the bedroom.
As you look at these walls, states 53. So I'm looking in this photograph, there's straight ahead, there's 2 windows, is that right?
Yes, sir.
To the right is the mattress, is that correct?
Yes.
And to the left is the dresser, I guess you can call that, is that right?
Me too,
Yes, sir.
Trixie.
Do you notice the walls in this? Did you find puncture wounds or holes or anything in the walls like that?
I did not.
Aw,
How about
yours
those windows?
is
Are they busted out or
cute.
broken or anything like that?
No,
Glad I
sir.
made
Any
you
disheveled,
smile.
broken furniture or anything along those lines?
Not in this bedroom.
Just that bed is in the shape it's in, is that right?
Correct.
Now are we moving back to the left? Is that your procedure? It states 54 here.
I'm still moving towards the left.
States 55. Still going left?
Yes.
States 56. What do we have here?
And so I've moved into the center, and now I'm showing the floor
Let me
in
see
the
if they show
middle
pictures
of the
again.
bedroom.
57 shot. What do we have?
I've stepped to the left, still angle my camera down towards the floor, looking back towards the mattress. Again, documenting medical intervention, but also showing relation of the blood stains, the volumes of blood to the mattress.
States 58.
Again, just another shot where I'm trying to encompass more of the room in relation to everything on the floor.
There's not much left.
59. What is this?
And so 59, I've moved 90 degrees to the mattress. So I am perpendicular to the mattress, and I'm doing my best to get a top-down overall shot of this mattress.
Is it accurate that when you arrived, there was no persons involved in this still on scene?
There was no one in this area when I arrived.
When you see this process in the scene, what does this tell you based on your training experience? When it comes to where the location of the blood or the amount of blood?
Just that there was a significant bloodletting event right here. This very dark blood and just the volume. Plus you can see some clotting artifacts in that indicate that there was a significant bloodletting event right there, but that there was also movement within and on top of this mattress as evident by the handprints.
Next, we'll say 60. What do we have in this, and what is this item that's at the kind of the foot of the mattress here?
I believe those were baby wipes, and I've just moved down to the end of the mattress, and so now I'm working my way back up.
We're talking about these here. Is that what we're looking at?
Yes, sir.
61, just kind of stepping back. Is that what you're doing? 62.
And so in 62, all I've done is I want to show relation to the volume, the stain here on the carpet as it relates to the mattress.
If I can go back to 61, do you see, in Stacy's exhibit 61, are there 2 pooling areas of blood, one on the bed and then one on the floor by the baby wipes?
There are 2 separate patterns, yes.
Okay, so what I'm talking about is this one here on the floor in front of the baby wipes?
It's really hard to hear about the baby wipes being there and think about and the amount of blood and all of that and think about what this poor innocent baby went through.
Is that right?
Yes, that's one area.
And for the record, which is the predominant or has more blood, the one on the mattress or the one on the floor?
That is
Which stain?
because it's absorbed. The one on the mattress is bigger than the one on the floor.
Say 63, what do we have here?
That was a diaper bag that was sitting at the foot of that mattress.
And just to be clear, all the evidence you collected is the bag, the other things we're talking about, the knife, all that, you turn that over to Camp Police Department, is that right?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Say 64, what do we have here?
Just what we call a medium range shot. So I'm showing the relationship of the mattress
Oh God.
to the diaper bag and the sippy cup, just kind of cleaning that up.
Say 65.
We're top down over that diaper bag.
When it comes to collecting evidence like a bag and the contents of the bag, is there a time where that will be processed and things will be taken out and accounted for usually.
Yes, and not at a scene.
So that's later on, somebody else will do that, a lead detective or something like that.
Yes.
Did you just take everything as it is, not unpack it, and just turn it over to the Camp Police Department and the detectives there?
Yes.
Stay 66?
Just documenting the exposed side. So this is a side facing out towards the bedroom, not closest to the wall.
And 66, what are the items that we see in this photograph?
Well, I knew the burnt blanket, and then I don't really recall what the pink thing was. I'm sure it was an item of clothing, a baby clothing.
67?
Again, just another angle of the diaper bag,
Oh.
but noting the towel and then what was on the other side. And this is all done before we move a single item within that room.
68, just looking at the foot of bed.
So we're from the foot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying. I got sidetracked by the pictures. The nomadic lifestyle is not a religious group. It's just like for people who live in RVs and things that move around a lot. It just means that you move around a lot. You might live in an RV and travel places a lot, things like that.
At what we call normal vision. So I just have my camera up this way and I'm shooting back towards that wall.
69, is towel on the bed.
Just turn the zoom in to note the towel.
70, what do we have here in this photograph?
This palm swipe was very intriguing to me as a crime scene investigator. And I wanted to try and document that. Just one, noting the size of that. I know that is an adult's hand, especially since I had already been to the hospital and seen the victim child. So I knew that to be an adult hand.
71, just a closer view?
Yes.
And
trying to get over it and focus. And I'm trying to do this all while holding a camera.
And then in 71, you see the blood has different formations or shapes on the type of stains that are left.
Yes, it's absorbing into the sheet at this point.
Stain 72, what is this and why did you take a picture of this?
So anytime we introduce something into a crime scene, we have to document. We document it through our notes and through photography. Obviously, yellow tint evidence markers are not naturally occurring things in people's homes. So we start to document and I just figure out what I want to call one and I go from there in a logical progression through my evidence. So we start with evidence marker 1. I decided that was going to be the knife. And so we have them with scale and this gives us a relationship in size.
Zoom in on state 72.
Did a good job.
Sometimes this is evidence marker 1 or EM for evidence marker 1. Is that right?
That is right.
And what type of knife is this? Can you tell just by the logo on the blade itself?
That was a Cuisinart paring knife.
And did you go in the house and look to see where this was taken from?
At the end, we checked the blocks and I found a block downstairs, a knife block. It had 2 missing knives. So we just documented that there were 2 knives missing from this particular block.
73, what do we have here?
So I used evidence marker 2 to denote this volume of blood on the carpet near the mattress.
74?
74 was the palm print. We would normally rotate it, but so 3 at the top, just noting the size with our scale.
75?
I'm trying to see if
75,
you're going to show any more pictures.
I just had to say all of this on this mattress here, this sheet is all number 4. So I said the top of the towel as best I could was the starting point. I laid a scale to show length and size and just called this 4.
My goodness.
76?
Is the diaper bag.
And then when, I just remember blood patterns and blood spray and how blood can come out differently. Does it make different depending on how it comes out of the body? Whether it's a slow coming out or if there's force behind it and it's being pushed out further.
The difference between arterial and venous.
And when you look at the mattress here, could that explain sometimes why there's different type of patterns on the mattress?
We wouldn't normally identify patterns on absorbent surfaces because I don't know how much time elapsed between the bloodletting event and the time I got there. So the blood absorbing into the material is going to elongate any stains or patterns I get. And so in our blood stain pattern training, we're taught we do this on hard, non-porous surfaces in order to get accurate measurements to get angles of impact. I would just call that a volume. It's just a transfer of blood. I don't know how it came because as it absorbs, it could go lengthwise, it could go widthwise. So I'm just careful to document and say this is a large volume of blood here.
And then 76, we're looking at the back, evidence marker 5. 77 is just where certain markers are in the room. Is that right?
Yes, I'm trying to capture the overall of all of the evidence markers with the relationship in this bedroom.
And evidence marker 1 for the knife in relation to evidence marker 2, you don't have any knowledge whether or not that was moved by EMS or pushed over there or anything like that, do you? Or do you know?
I don't recall that I was told that anything was moved upon EMS's arrival. That would
That's how you found the knife in that place.
That is how I found the scene when I got into it.
78, just going back through. 79, what do we have here?
We removed the sheet and I wanted to document just the saturation to go along with that large volume. And so I have several pictures of just the saturation of the blood into the mattress itself.
Another photograph of that. And then 81 and 82, did you visually go downstairs to the kitchen and look for where this Cuisinart knife could have come from?
It was the only block in the house, and it was missing 2 knives out of the block.
You have those with you today?
I do.
I'm going to get through him, and then that'll probably have to be it for me right now. Again, I'm going to go live with Zio tonight at 9, but I do got to go cook dinner soon. And I'm going to try to get him when he gets home to send me the videos of Basil. Tomorrow, we're going to do the body cam from the guy that kidnapped the girl. We'll do that body cam tomorrow and pick back up on this Saturday.
Look at this box and verify that this is a knife that you collected from the scene.
I did.
Go ahead and double check, make sure State's Exhibit 83 is the knife collected in this scene.
I'm going to change the thumbnail too. I don't think it's right.
It is.
At the time I attended evidence State's Exhibit 83, is it in the same or substantial similar conditions when you collect it except for the protection and everything else in the box that
Oh, that sounds good.
Yes.
Just attended evidence State's 83.
State's 83 is admitted.
Judge, may we publish that in a traditional manner? I don't want to take it out of the box if that's all right. If you could just stand and just display it before the jury.
Yes, it's definite.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Your Honor. All right, sir, if you would just get in front of the jury, don't say anything to them, and just hold it up so they can see it, then I'm going to ask you some questions about it. You just walk down the line if you would. Well, thank you. You just take it up there with you and ask you some questions. When you collect a knife like this, is it obviously there's bloody head stains on it? Is that right?
Yes.
And then once you collect it, can it be processed or sent to the GBI lab sometimes to see if there's any fingerprints or other evidence in that?
That is correct.
And oftentimes fingerprints and things like that is to determine who held it or who used it. Is that right?
Yes.
And is it in the shape that's in the box? Is that y'all don't try to clean it, change it, do anything with it? It's just it is in the shape that was found from the scene. Is that right?
Yes.
And then do you secure it?
I'm sorry.
Do y'all secure it and make sure it's properly packaged?
Yes.
And do you know about how long the blade is, or do you have an estimation about how long the blade is?
I believe it was less than right at 3 inches. It wasn't very big.
And it was a knife with a set, is that right?
As best as we could tell, looking at that particular block, I believed it to have come from that block downstairs.
As you look at the knife today, is the blade open? It's not covered with anything?
Correct. Blade is
It's
open.
a serrated blade with a sharp blade on it, or appears to be.
It's non-serrated.
Non-serrated, but I guess a fine blade, if you would.
Yes.
Mm.
If you go ahead and just package that back and close it for us, please.
I want to make taco salad
If
now.
you can do me a favor, just take your time, and if you can just, the photographs I've given you, if you just put those in order for me.
They are.
Judge Nafroach.
Yes.
I think that's about it for this. Yeah, they're about to go to break or something. I think he says something at the end, but I don't see any more pictures. So I'm gonna go ahead and go. But I will again. Yeah, they said they're gonna take a recess. I will be live tonight on Zio's channel. Her link is pinned at the top of the comment section. I'm going to drop it in the description box below for anybody catching the replay. I'm going to change my thumbnail because I feel like maybe it's a bit insensitive now that I've heard the case. And then tomorrow there's a man on trial for kidnapping women and holding them hostage. And we're going to look at the body cam footage from that and talk about that case so far, that trial. And then we'll pick back up with the testimony of Jason Sellers on Saturday and try to get caught up.
Okay, well, I'll jump down so you can say goodbye. And I appreciate you. Huge thanks for you as an incredible host and for guiding us through such an intense case. And then, of course, I know we always take a moment to remember the victims and even the women and men too, who suffer from, physical and mental abuse, sometimes in silence. Their stories matter too. So, and I'm sure you'll keep sharing them and staying informed. And I appreciate all of you. I'll see y'all soon.
Yes, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Zio, for coming up. I appreciate it. I know you're busy.
Thank you. No, you're busy. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Our channel tonight to talk about Krama. I don't know if y'all like Krama, but if you do, I'll be over there. We're gonna go over some documents. Please, like she just said, and like I say a lot, remember the victims in this. Say a prayer for Hannah and her family tonight. And we'll continue with this coverage on Saturday. Tomorrow we'll talk about the man holding the women hostage. That was just a crazy case. I saw the body camera footage, and that's why I was like, oh, I remember that case, and I thought y'all might like to see it as well. Again, thank you everybody so much for being here. You guys are amazing, and I really appreciate everybody that comes back and hangs out every day. We're starting to get our little family members here. Thank you so much for being here. I really enjoy the time that we get to spend together. I really look forward to going live and seeing all you guys over here in the chat, and how accepting of everybody you are, and how great this channel has become because of you guys. So thank you so much for that. And all the people who watch the video on replay, thank you too. I really wanted to say thank you. Like, I would be nothing without you guys. So I wanted to make sure you know that I'm so grateful for every single one of you. And I will see y'all tomorrow. I hope you have the best afternoon and evening ever. And I apologize. I'm used to saying I'll see you tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow here at 1:30. I'll see you tonight at 9 on Zio's. Have the best day ever. Bye.
Listen up, I gotta tell you, there is something you should